And we are live. We are live right now. This is late show. James, I see you.
What's
Lights looking good.
up?
Baby. Lights looking good. James, this is Rudy.
What's up?
Rudy
What's up?
representing
Hey,
Brazil.
how you?
James, we representing Colombia. We are all live right now. We ain't get to do no backstage talk, no backstage prep. Yeah, this is a very late show. Rudy and I was out drinking. Um, what part were we at?
We were in
I,
Gavea. It's a neighborhood in Leblon, Rio de Janeiro. Um, Real nice, a lot of good bars, a lot of good restaurants. Very similar to like a Williamsburg where people are out on the street, everyone's talking, drinking, and it's just a good time all around.
yeah, right. It brought me back to my college days. Definitely.
For sure. Yeah, there's a university that's that's not too far from there. So usually on Thursdays and Fridays, you get a lot of people from the university stop by over there, have a drink and stuff. So it's definitely a happening spot.
All right, cool, cool. That's what's up. James,
Hmm.
how you doing tonight? What you been up to?
I'm all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you perfectly.
Okay, yeah. Man, I've been just chilling. They had a little earthquake here about 4:30 in the afternoon. It was a little crazy, but it was all right.
Where at in Cali?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well,
Yeah.
actually, it was way by the coast, but we about 2 hours away from the coast, so I felt a little vibration. It wasn't really that big of a deal. I mean, it was like the East Coast earthquake that happened in 2011. I don't know if you remember that. I was in the army at the time.
Nah, nah, nah. I don't remember that. But
Yeah.
who we got tonight? Late night show, yo. I need you guys to drop your comment if you're on this late night with me. Probably 11:30 where you guys are. It's about to be 1 a.m. where me and Rudy are.
Hmm.
James, what time is it? It's probably like 10:30, 10:49.
It's 11:49. So yeah, so 22:49. I got like it's 10. It's 10:49.
10:49 where you at? I bet. So we're about to start the show off. If you guys are joining in, if you're watching this after, this is Chop About TV. Got my boy Rudy out here representing Brazil. James representing Cali, Colombia. It's it's probably too late, Dre. I know you're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna see if you up right now because I definitely got to get back to you, brother. I was drinking, but
Yo, he drank. He almost finished an entire bottle of sake by himself.
Wow.
Yeah, I was I was concerned, and he holds his liquor. He definitely holds his liquor. I was
That's
like,
what's up. That's what's up.
hey, James, you know it's an army thing, man.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just some things can't be explained. But
yeah.
definitely, I'm looking for the subscribers to chime in tonight. I'm gonna be representing DR. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be holding it down for DR tonight. Jorge ain't here, but let's start off the show brand new. We got some brand new guests, so I'm gonna start the show with a brand new intro. Perfecto, perfecto. If you guys are here, who's here with me? German was good, was good. I know we was going back and forth about that. Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant stuff. Elvis was good. Elvis says I travel out, but Brazil is just too far. I wish it would be closer. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
mhm,
Brazil is far, but you gotta pick your poison. So we're
yeah.
gonna start off with Rudy tonight. Rudy, first off, introduce yourself, tell the people a little bit about yourself, how long you've been traveling to Brazil, how long you've been living out here, and why you decided to become an expat.
Sure. So I've been. This is actually my second trip to Brazil. First time was during 2019 and 2020. I lived in Sao Paulo for close to 8 months, and then I also experienced the pandemic while that was happening. So that was pretty interesting to see. But that was the first time I went to Brazil, and then I went back to the States while things were, happening with COVID. And recently, I ended a contract. So then, back in March, I ended up flying back. This time around, I spent most of my time in Rio, mostly because it was I didn't really get to experience Rio the first time I was in Brazil. So this time around, I was like, all right, let me spend a few months there, and then this Saturday, I'm headed back to Sao Paulo.
Okay, so so where is where's the area where most people traveling or looking to become expats come first? Would you say that's Rio or that's Sao Paulo or another part of
I
Brazil?
would say, I mean, I feel like Rio is the entry point for most people who come to Brazil. I mean, I would say that for the most part, that's going to be the city that kind of baptizes you, so to speak, into like welcome to Brazil. I didn't do it that way, but that was because I was part of a community of folks who had been going down to Brazil for a long period of time, and they and had the contacts. And I also knew the places in Sao Paulo that were happening, and then culturally, I also didn't want to. I really didn't want to be in a tourist spot when I first arrived because when I was coming down the first time. Basically, I bought a one-way ticket and headed to Sao Paulo. I still needed to work. I work remotely, so it was important for me to have to stay in a place where the internet was really fast. The cost of living was, pretty reasonable, and I also wanted to be able to have like the same type of nightlife experience that I was experiencing living in New York City. So that's what I was looking for, and Sao Paulo had all of those things and then some. So that's why I didn't go to Rio first. Like when I talked to like a few things that kind of stood out to me, at least from a work perspective, that I couldn't. I knew that Rio wasn't the first spot to go to. It was hard at that time. I would say now it's a little bit different, but at that time it was really hard to find places where the Airbnb hosts had high internet speeds. Most places would have like 10 megabits per second or something like that, which just isn't fast enough. So I would message the hosts, and they would say the internet speed wasn't, it wasn't up to what I needed it to be. So that was the first concern. The second concern was that, like, because this is a tourist area and that kind of thing, the prices here in Rio are going to be a lot higher, than you would normally expect in Sao Paulo.
Okay, so for you, Rio didn't do it because of tourist prices, internet. You work remote, and shout out to everybody working remote that are on this channel, that are watching, that are subscribing, whatever. Subscribe to other channels. Definitely appreciate you guys. Listen, expat life is the way to go. Get out the matrix, get out the states. Even if you got to do half and half, just get out and enjoy your life, enjoy your time. Because if it's one thing we are not promised, that is time. And shout out to all the followers, subscribers of Kevin Samuels. May he rest in peace. But that's just a perfect example that you just don't know if you have enough time. So why hesitate?
Mhm.
Why doubt? Why let other people control what you do with your life, with your time? So don't let that
Mhm.
stop you. So let's get over to James. James, introduce yourself. Let people know where you're from. Where are you currently an expat in, and where have you been?
Okay, it could be a long story, but the short version is I'm from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Crown Heights. And I also traveled around a lot of spaces. I was in Africa, Kenya and Tanzania to be exact. Then I went to DR during the pandemic. And then I came to Cali, Colombia, based off a recommendation from a friend of mine.
Right. Okay, cool. So how long have you been in Colombia?
I've been in Colombia for 13 months and counting.
13 months.
Yes.
So you have your residency there?
No. Actually, that's something I'm working on. I got some people working through the things. I might have to go to America to handle it because you got to get your stuff apostolized, and people don't talk about that as much. It's like, I just thought you had to get it notarized. So I tried to get my stuff notarized, and they kicked it back. They was like, no, you got to get it apostolized. And apostolization is like, a notary is like some random person saying, yeah. But apostolization is the government saying these documents are legit. So I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had to get documents apostilled for the Dominican Republic. So definitely understand what you mean. But I think the process, I'm just saying, I think just from word of mouth, that process may be a little bit easier in Colombia for veterans. If you guys don't know, James is a veteran. Rudy works remote. If you're now joining this live stream chat, it's a late night show. Drop a comment. Let me know who's with me. So let's get down to it. So James, you moved to Colombia. Why? Why Colombia?
I moved to Colombia based on, it was three main reasons. One, I got a recommendation from a homeboy. He said that Cali specifically was the Atlanta of Colombia, and I found it to be the case. It's still mainly white per se, as you would categorize Latin Americans. It's white, but this city has the most black people in the country. So it's a big city with a bunch of black people, and I just wanted to be around black people because I went to Africa first, and I was planning on staying in Africa, but through the pandemic, I had to go to America, take care of some business, and Kenya wasn't open again, so I went to Dominican Republic. And then I left Dominican Republic mainly because I wanted to learn Spanish because I was around a bunch of expats in Santo Domingo. And the other reason is the cost of living is like $100 less than the DR because DR is an island. They get everything imported from America, so things are more expensive. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. So that's why you're in Cali. Rudy, James, do you guys speak the language of your native country?
I think you mean, do I speak Spanish? I'm working on it. Like I say again, it takes unless you're very disciplined and you want to sit there and really study it, or you live with somebody, it takes a while. So it's like it's been a year. I'm just about conversational. If somebody talks to me, I understand what they're saying, but it's kind of hard for me to speak to them fast and stuff like that. So it's like I'm better at reading than I am talking.
So you're better at reading Spanish than you are talking.
Yes.
13 months in Colombia. Would you say that you need Spanish is absolutely necessary for the better living experience as a foreigner in Colombia?
Well, you don't need Spanish, but it would definitely help because unlike Dominican Republic, most people here, they speak Spanish, and even if you think you know Spanish, you better really know because they speak very fast. They use different words. Like in the DR, most times people say hola. Here they just say buenas. So they just say buenas. They don't say buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenas dias. They just say buenas. So they have a little different slang here, and it takes a while to get used to it.
Okay, that's different. That's different. What about you, Rudy? How would you say about here in Brazil? If you guys don't know, I'm still in Brazil, still kicking, by the way. And for those of you just joining the chat, I know it's a few of you guys just now joining the chat. Please say good evening. Let me know where you're watching from. We got a very interesting topic tonight. I want to give you guys both aspects of all three countries, Dominican Republic, Brazil, and Colombia, on why expats are those who leave their native country to go reside somewhere else, choose these countries. So, Rudy, would you say Portuguese is a necessity here in Brazil?
Absolutely. If you want to, especially if you want to develop like meaningful relationships and build connections and that kind of stuff. So some quick statistics: less than 3% of the country speaks English. So English is very, very rare here. You're going to experience more English in Rio because they expect tourists to come here. But you go to any other city outside of Rio, and even Sao Paulo. In Sao Paulo, I would say less than 5% of the population speaks English. So they do teach English in schools, but depending on what kind of school they went to, you know what I mean. Different schools have different teachers. They probably don't speak. They don't speak it well. They may know a few words here and there. So knowing Portuguese will definitely do you justice. Now, when I first got here, I didn't know how to speak Portuguese. What I ended up doing was watching a lot of like Brazilian TV shows, movies. I was listening to Brazilian music, and there's a lot of Brazilian content on Netflix. So that was helping me with my hearing skills. And then what I started using as a major tool was Google Translate in order to communicate, and that just became the most reliable tool that I had until I started picking up more of the language. And now I'm definitely conversational. I can express myself. I would say where I'm limited now is mostly my vocabulary. There's just certain words. If I haven't used it yet, or if I haven't heard somebody else use it, then it's not going to be in It's not going to be in my dictionary. So that's been the biggest challenge so far.
Okay, so both of you do agree that having the native language down pat will enhance your living experience.
For sure.
Well, I don't want to push back against it because that's true. And you're in these countries, and just like in America, they want you to speak English. You should speak their language if you're in their country. However, I wouldn't let that stop me because maybe I'm a little harder on myself because I could say, like I say again, if somebody speaks to me, I can understand them. I understand the gist of what they're saying, and I could speak back to them. But it's like I'm like a 5-year-old as far as like I can say simple things and I understand what they're saying, but I don't understand every word. So I'd like to have a conversation. Like to me, if I'm conversational, I should be able to speak to some Spanish person just like I'm speaking here to you guys, fluently and just flowing. So I mean, it just takes a while. So I mean, again, I wouldn't discourage somebody from coming down here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Like I don't think not speaking the language is an excuse to not come here, whether it's Cali or whether it's Brazil. You should still come and experience the country. And the other thing too is that if you don't come, you're definitely not going to learn the language. You need to be a native speakers and that kind of stuff.
Well,
so
are you guys talking from visiting vacation standpoint, or when you say come, like come to live?
Both. But here's another thing I just want to say about coming to Brazil. I would highly recommend that if you do come to Brazil, someone was saying, hey, Brazil is a really long flight. That's true. You should really try to be here for at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. The longer that you can stay, the better experience that you're going to have. If you come here for a week, the only thing you're going to have the time of your life, and you're going to leave with regret that you didn't spend more time here. So you definitely want to spend, if you can spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks here, it's going to be a much better experience. And then also from a language standpoint, you're going to have a lot more interactions and opportunities to be able to practice speaking and ordering food and saying and meeting people and introducing yourself and talking about yourself and all that stuff. So, and asking questions. So the more time that you can spend, even if it's a short vacation, I would say that it's going to be a better experience.
Okay. All right. So let me get to these comments tonight before I give you guys my part on why I moved to the Dominican Republic way back when. Let's see. Global Paper says, I would recommend to watch cartoons in Portuguese or Spanish to learn understanding language. I'm on that time right now. It's a little bit hard because I watch Japanese shows and with Portuguese subtitles, so it's kind of hard to catch what the hell is going on. And German watcher from West Georgia was good. German, thank you for popping up. So before you get started, James, for me, why I chose the DR way back when 2018, first time there. Obviously fell in love with the dream, the illusion of the island. I went there with the dollar. Dollar felt great in my hand. Dollar felt powerful. The dollar to peso ratio, the beaches, the vibes, the rent. It was just, what I thought was just good times, good vibes. I'm like, yeah, I can see myself here for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Obviously, that changed over time, but DR is great. And fellas, I caught myself today while I was on the beach out there and out here in Niterói. I caught myself today missing Dominican Republic a little. Yeah, wait. Not missing like, damn, I'm homesick. Missing like I'm on the beach like, damn. Even though the beach was 2 hours away from Santiago, I miss Playa La Ensenada. So I definitely miss my beaches out there in Dominican Republic. Miss my dog Jorge. Shout out to Jorge. Make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel. But other than that, Brazil has been treating me very good. But one like Elvis just said, one of the cons about Brazil is a little bit far. DR, I was a good 3.5 hours away from New York. So another thing that may affect people's decision to move to the Dominican Republic is closer to the States, closer to Miami. Whatever. So next question I have for you guys right here is, so Rude explained why he's leaving Rio to go to Sao Paulo. James, do you see yourself going to any other part of Colombia?
I really, 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 really like Cali. Now, there's pros and cons to everything, but I like it's like if you go on like Expatistan or Numbeo, they Cali is like the cheapest big city in South America. So the dollar stretches a lot longer here. The weather is pretty cooperative. It does rain, so it's more like living in Seattle. Don't have earthquakes as much. I mean, even though we just had one, but they have more earthquakes in Medellin. It just, the weather is fine. And I mean, the only thing I'm giving up now, one thing I've learned and the reason why I'm thinking about going to Brazil is because I've realized that I'm a beach guy. So if I was to leave here, it would probably be to like Rio or to like one of these places with a beach, because I really miss that. They do have a lake here and they do have the coast here with a Malecon, but it's not really developed as far as tourism just yet, maybe 10, 15 years down the road. But as of right now, if they had a beach here, it would be no reason to leave at all.
Okay. I need somebody in the comments to put me on. What other beaches can I go to in Brazil? I know there's Natal. I know there's a few places. And where at?
Floripa. It's in the south. There's another city that's like Miami. It's like the Brazilian Dubai. It's called Balneário Camboriú. Skyscrapers and beaches. Gorgeous city. Just it costs a little bit less than Rio, so it's a little bit more affordable. Same thing with Floripa, but both of them are really, really nice. Really.
Okay. I know Brazil is huge, but did you just say that there's a city in the south where
it's basically the Dubai of Brazil? You see Lambos, McLarens, Porsches,
and it's cheaper than Rio?
Yeah, it's cheaper than Rio for sure.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna have to edit this part out of the video.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Like I'm doing my research on Brazil right now. From what I understand, the further south you go, you get more seasons, and it's more the people more white. You know what I'm saying? So you go to the northeast. I understand that it's more black, but I also heard it was cheaper there. But I don't know. But I do know I did hear that Cortuba and Florianopolis were very like the high, the nicer areas of Brazil. That's what I heard.
Global people just said that. So German asks you, Rude, what the real estate prices are like there. Ryan T says, if Colombia had nice beaches, I would stay there. Yeah, I know you guys are like, why am I still in Brazil, not in Colombia? I don't know. It's just something about Brazil that just kept me here. I don't know when I'm heading to Barranquilla, but I get what you're saying about the beaches. But like Rule's just saying, he said, this Brazil, we gotta think about it, Ryan T. Brazil is huge compared to DR. DR is small. They got the beaches, the waterfalls, the rios, but Brazil is huge. I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar, half of my bottom dollar, because I'm broke. I can't eat that. Brazil got some nice beaches. I could give DR a run for their money. What you think, Rule?
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And not only that, but then there's also more beaches per capita. Like, I mean, you have these areas here, but like, imagine Brazil's basically the size of the United States, but its entire coastline is tropical, all the way from north to south. It's full of tropical beaches. So what you were saying earlier is true. Like, if you go up to Salvador, Bahia, I have a friend who's paying like $750 a month, maybe $800 a month for like a decent spot close to the beach. It's in Salvador. Recife is another area that's pretty cool because they have like a big startup scene out there. So like a lot of technology companies and that kind of thing. In the south, I like you were saying earlier, like the further south you go, the whiter it gets, and mostly because Brazil was mostly settled in the north, and that was during the 1800s, 1600s, and then of course there was a large black population, largest slave population largest black population outside of Africa for the longest time, and then there was the whole legacy of slavery. But then when the South started getting settled, it was mostly European settlers that were coming down there. So that, what I mean? So there's And if you think about it in like pioneering times, right? The government is trying to incentivize people to develop the land and create and build cities and all this other stuff. And so they go to, there was a Portuguese colony. So they go to people in Europe. They say, hey, if you come down here, we'll give you land to settle, you know what I mean? And come and develop and all that other stuff. So you have immigrants from Germany, immigrants from Ukraine, Poland, all of these different European countries. And most of them settled in the South because it was wide open. That was wide open territory back then.
Yeah, Global Paper says the same thing. Florida, I hope I'm not butchering this.
Florida. Oh yeah, Fortaleza is really nice too.
Annapolis or white and very expensive. Fortaleza, not that aggressive. All these places. Listen, yeah, I need you. That's why I need you guys to support the channel. I'm going back to the Dominican Republic in June. So any of you guys trying to catch me out there on my last legs in June, I'll be out there just to sell my stuff. Hopefully, God willing, I'm leaving by the third week latest of July. So let's try to figure something out. I'm selling all my stuff, whatever's not left over, let you guys know on the channel. But I will be back in the Dominican Republic sometime in June. Don't have a date yet. Between the 12th and the 17th, I'm ready selling my majority of my stuff to one of my subscribers. Shout out to Truth. He's buying majority of stuff in my apartment. And then heading back to Brazil. I know Russell has a group coming out here in August. Make sure you guys hit him up about that. It's definitely going to be a good one. He's bringing him out to Rio, and then I'm going to kidnap him, take him to Sao Paulo. So we got Rio, we got Colombia. How is cost of living treating you guys? Let me start with you first, Rudy. How is cost of living treating you in Brazil right now? The dollar to their peso. How happy are you? What are you able to accomplish? And let the subscribers know what are you able to accomplish? How happy are you with the dollar, with the currency? And don't mind me, guys. Like Rue just said earlier, I downed a whole bottle of sake at this Japanese restaurant, so I'm dehydrated as fuck right now. So I'm just gonna be chugging on this water.
All good, all good. Yeah, so I would say the cost of living and the exchange rate down here is really good. The first time I came down here, I think the exchange rate was somewhere around 3.75 reais to the dollar. So now it's currently 5.1. So it's 5.1 reais to the dollar. So that means you're basically getting, you're getting about 80% increase on your spending power down here. One of the things that I think is really nice about how the way that the money works here is that because Brazil is so far away and it has such a large population, things aren't really priced for tourists. I mean, outside of Rio, of course, the way that it is in other places. So, for example, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was that, in Dominican Republic, it's a lot of imports. And so everything is kind of priced, based off of that dollar peg. Down here, when it comes to a lot of things are produced internally. And so, food is very, very affordable. Even when you go to restaurants and that kind of stuff, it's very, very affordable. You can get and then the things that are really expensive are things that are like imported that are like electronics. You know what I mean? Apple products and that kind of stuff are really expensive over here. So, occasionally you have to do a trip back to the US or maybe Mexico or some other country where you have access to those products at like standard retail prices. But because of the import taxes here, the most expensive things are definitely going to be electronics. There's a lot of car manufacturing here. If you wanted to buy a car, you can get a car around the same price, maybe slightly more expensive than what you would pay in the US or something like that. But there's
hold on. What's slightly more expensive? Because on this channel, we've gone through the teeth pulling of what it's like to buy a car in the Dominican Republic. I'm talking about a 2014 car still going for over $30,000.
Oh yeah. Now it's not like that. I would say it's probably closer to what you would expect in the US. Like there's actually an auction website. There was this girl that I met, and I was spending some time with her, and she was telling me about the car business, and she was talking about the car auctions down here and that kind of stuff. And one example that she used was like, she had recently bought a Range Rover at an auction. Now, keep in mind, this was a Range Rover that was like in an accident and that kind of stuff. She bought a Range Rover at an auction. I think it was like maybe 2009, 2010. She bought it for 5,000 US, 25,000 reais. And then she probably put another 5,000, 6,000 reais into the car to get it fixed and that kind of stuff. And then labor is cheap down here too. So, you know, mechanics, you're not going to be spending the same that you would in other places. And she was able to get that car up and running. So, you know, there's things like that. But these are things that you kind of discover after making connections and making contacts. A lot of things are hidden in plain sight here in Brazil. I would say as far as cost of living, I'm definitely paying a lot on rent here by choice. I could have went, you know, I definitely could have spent less. But you know, in Sao Paulo, I would say that on average, I'm spending maybe anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 to 2,500 a month on a spot. But usually when I'm spending around those prices, I'm getting a real bang for my buck. Premium building, security, gym, pool, and all of those amenities. The lowest I've paid in Sao Paulo for rent was probably around $700 a month, and I could still get that unit. And that unit was in a really, really, really nice building. And just to draw a comparison, when I was living in New York, I was paying about 4,000, 4,200 for for my apartment plus parking and that kind of stuff. And the place that I was staying at in Sao Paulo that I was paying $700 a month for was literally better than the building that I was paying $4,000 in New York City for. And by better, I mean both buildings had a gym, but this one had a rooftop pool. It had a rooftop lounge. It had a movie theater. It had a huge laundry room. It had a huge gym. The apartment was slightly smaller. Like this one was a studio. My apartment in New York was a 1-bedroom. But outside of that, like the value that I was getting for that $700 a month that I was paying in Sao Paulo really couldn't compare to what I was paying for in New York, just because, you know, that's money that you can take and invest in other things. You know what I mean? That's money that you can just put aside and just be able to, you know, if you have to spend 4,000 to live in New York for 1 month, now you go to a country like Brazil and let's say you're spending 4,500, you know what I mean? For that could literally be 3 or 4 months of living in Brazil compared to the 1 month of living that you're getting in New York. So there's that time factor in terms of the value that you're getting in some of these spots. But there's spots and places for every budget range in Brazil. If you want to go top end, you can find some really nice spots. If you're looking to save but looking to get value, you can find that too.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's get to the comments. James is having blackout issues in Cali, Colombia right now. James, can you hear me? All right, so we're gonna wait for James to get yeah, you hear me? All right, cool. So James is just on strict data right now, no Wi-Fi. Let's get to some of the comments. So if you guys have any questions about Dominican Republic, I am here to represent and answer all your Dominican Republic questions right now, even though I am in Brazil. So let me know. Super Bad 5.0, shout out to you, says, what's up, fellas? Just got my retirement visa for Brazil. Yo, drop a comment down, please. Let us know what that process was like for you. I know it's FBI, background check. I know it's proving your income, passport photos. What else? What was that process like for you? What city did you do it out of? Did you do it from Brazil? Did you have to go back to the States? Please talk to us. Also, if you want to come in, I'll drop you a link. But any expats watching from Colombia, watching from Brazil right now, you know, drop some comments, please. Let's talk to us. German asked you, Rudy, is that $2,500 a month just for rent or for all your expenses combined?
The $2,500 a month. Well, put it this way: if you had a budget of $2,500 per month, you'd be able to do everything that you would need to do here in Brazil. So you'd be able to do everything that $2,500 a month would include. Well, could literally include rent. You know, all the Ubers that you could need, eating out at restaurants every other night, and light bill, phone bill, everything. Yeah.
All right. So James is here. I don't know if James got the end of the gun. He said it might be crazy to promote Colombia while he in the dark. But it's all good, Jays. As long as you can talk without the lag, we good. Curtis D, what's up? Good evening. Good evening. Yes, sir. Make sure you guys are coming in. Like those videos. Please share this with your friends. I need you guys to share this with your coworker tomorrow morning. Tap on the show like, yo, we out of here. We out of here. We out of this cubicle. We out of this office. We are out of the States. Let's go to DR. Let's go to Colombia. Let's go to Brazil, Uruguay, Venezuela, wherever we're going. We're going to go be an expat today. So make sure you guys take advantage of your time. Like I said at the beginning of the video, time isn't promised. It's not guaranteed. So make sure you're doing something that makes you happy. Do whatever you got to do, as long as you're not hurting yourself or other people. Now, for Dominican Republic, Rude, I moved to the Dominican Republic like the end of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And I went the furnished route. I lived in Puerto Plata like everybody else. I went to Puerto Plata. Why? Because I had Spanish, but at the same time, I felt like I needed to perfect it. And honestly, I didn't know shit else about the island besides Puerto Plata and Punta Cana. So I went where all the other expats were, just to be like, all right, I got Russell down the block over here. I had my neighbor Eddie, rest in peace. I had Captain Kirk across the street. You know, I had Cav, all these good folks. But I was paying like $800 a month, full house, big ass house, like 3 stories, a roof, like, you know, living room first floor, bedroom second, rooftop, pool, gate, security guard, $800 furnished. And I know you guys are watching right now. Like, wait, you pay $800 for a house like that in Puerto Plata, and now same house probably going for, you know, over $1,000 a month, $1,500, because inflation hit the world, but inflation hit the Dominican Republic differently. And I think I was talking to you. No, I wasn't talking to you about this today. Inflation hit the Dominican Republic in a way where it didn't need to. Why I say that? Because it comes from greed. It comes from landlords and owners saying like, oh, okay, well, this person's charging that much. So it's like you could charge $2,500 for a house, right? But nobody in their right mind, no Dominican is going to pay $2,500 for a house. No American expat or European, unless you got it like that and you want to, are going to move to the Dominican Republic to pay $2,500 for a house. But just because you did it and your house is empty, I'm going to feel the need to do it also. You follow? So it's more like a follow the leader type thing, where now houses, apartments aren't even being listed in pesos anymore. They're being listed in dollars.
Yeah.
So I rented furnished $800, moved to Santiago, had a completely empty spot, 18,500 pesos at the time when the dollar was doing superb. I think like 58, 59. My rent was $315 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment, 2 bathrooms, security guard, pool, gym, basketball court, barbecue area, all of that right there in Gurabo. So like Ru was saying earlier, it's definitely worth to branch out away from the tourist areas. So branching out away from Puerto Plata, I needed more Spanish, but it covers. It covers, like, you know, all right, you're not going to be around the tourism. You're going to be around more locals, but you're going to need a little bit of this. You know what I mean? A little bit of that. Superbad said, I did mine in Houston. Okay. Well, congratulations, brother. Drop the process, because I was definitely looking at applying. We was just talking about this tonight, applying for the digital nomad visa here in Brazil. Brazil just got their digital nomad visa, so definitely looking into that. Ryan T asks, do Americans still need to be granted tourist visas from the V embassy to visit Venezuela? I applied in 2016 and got denied. What do you know about that?
I mean, I'm not too familiar with the visa process for Venezuela. I know that there's definitely been Americans that have been granted entry. But I haven't been there myself. I'd love to go.
Me too. That's on my list. Because I know a couple of Venezuelans. I love Venezuelan food. And to me, I have their beauty in like the top 3 of Latin America. Venezuelans.
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan T, definitely try to link up with a Venezuelan. Like I'm talking to one right now in DR, and I'm like begging her to take me with her to Venezuela. She left Venezuela to come to DR, and she's like, no, because she's like, she doesn't want to take me to Venezuela to pick up women and watch me pick up women. Who said I want to go to Venezuela to pick up women? Anywho, you guys, right? Whatever. I just want to go to Venezuela.
Where did you get that idea from? Come on now.
I just want to go to Venezuela. So, if you guys don't know, I literally met Rude. When did we meet? Like last week? This week?
Yeah, we was at like about a week ago. About a week ago for sure.
Right.
About a week ago.
so I met Rude about a week ago. Automatically kicked it at this bar.
Yeah.
Great exchange info, and the brother's been kicking me knowledge, kicking me game about Brazil, up to the point where he's convincing me, like, yeah, you know what, I might have to check out Sao Paulo.
Yeah, there's
cool. Yeah, cool guy, working remote full time, because and he works remote. He ain't like me, like, you know, free time or PS5 whenever. He's working, and he's doing it. He got his internet. And do you have to go back to the States for work at any point, or you just good where you at?
No. I mean, for the most part, like like a lot of times I have, I have different projects that I'm working on. Some of them can be long term, some of them can be short term. I'm in a good, healthy place where I can kind of pick and choose my clients and which projects I take on. One of the things that I try to make clear is that I have zero interest in going into the office or doing anything like that. And if there is a project where something like that is absolutely necessary, then either I'll move on to another project and tell them that that's not the one for me. It's really important that I continue to work remotely. One, because the cost of living, it gives me more control over my cost of living and that kind of stuff. And then two, it is a long flight from the U.S. to Brazil and that kind of stuff. So unless it's absolutely necessary and they're willing to, if I put it this way, if I was going to gain another 6 months, like in terms of what I was earning, if I was going to gain another 6 months or another 3 months of living in Brazil for the time that I spend, the 1 week or 2 weeks that I would need to spend to be on site for a client, no problem. Yeah, I'll come on site. You know what I mean? But if it's not that, no, I can stay down here. We can get the work done remotely.
Yeah, you get down there. Yeah, shout out to Jason Johnson. Applaud, brothers. I just got my visa approval from Memphis, from the Dominican Republic. That's huge. I even know Memphis had a Dominican embassy. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Learned something new tonight. Shout out to you. Where I'm at, you know what? Before Jason's comment, I forgot that I started my visa process for the Dominican Republic. Honestly forgot, because it's been so long. I started since 2019. We're in 2022. And to be honest, there haven't been things I couldn't do that the visa would have helped me out for. I opened a bank account, got a car, still had to pay my exit fees because I didn't have the visa. So, but congratulations to you. Visa is definitely for those of you who know. Basically, you're going to go to the Dominican Republic and you're going to take your passport and throw it in the ocean. Like, you're not going anywhere else after that. Mm-hmm. For me, that's what the visa is like, because it's like, you're at a point, it's like, whatever. I don't need it. Superbad says, if Venezuela was open, it would kill DR, Colombia, and Brazil.
You know what? I'll say this. Brazil has a lot to offer, but Venezuela is definitely a special place. It's almost tragic that it's cut off from the world, because like if you ever get bored, just look up Venezuela natural beauty and some of the places that you see that exist in Venezuela. The fact that it's like not available for people to experience and see for themselves. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, match it with all the beautiful beaches that are there, and then all of the beautiful women and all of the culture and the history that is there. The fact that it's isolated from the rest of the world is truly tragic. I actually dated a girl who was a Venezuelan princess, not a princess, but she basically was. Her family was in the Venezuelan oil business. I met her in Aruba, and they were basically in exile. Not in exile, but basically, shit is terrible in things were terrible in Venezuela economically and that kind of stuff, and it basically wasn't safe for them to live in Venezuela at that time. So she bought a beautiful, beautiful house in Aruba. I met her at a bar, didn't know who she was. We clicked, had a good connection, that kind of stuff. Next thing I know, this girl's taking me to restaurants that she owns. She's having her driver drive me around, all this other stuff. It was a sugar mama experience like I never experienced it before. But
you're not the first one who's met a Venezuelan who was something in Venezuela, bro.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, but like you said, it's just tragic what's going on. Like shout out to all my Venezuelans watching or on the channel or just out there right now. But yo, Venezuela sounds like a Game of Thrones episode.
Man, bro. And if it was a Game of Thrones episode, it would basically be as if the Lannisters didn't organize themselves the way that they did. And the reason why I say that is in Game of Thrones, the Lannisters, super rich family, and they're rich because there was a ton of gold mines. In Venezuela, there's literally tons and tons of gold. It has some of the largest gold deposits, largest diamond deposits, largest oil deposits, on top of all the natural beauty and all the other resources that it has. So, and there was a time where Venezuela, like people from Venezuela were like some of the richest on the planet. Like they would come to America and it would be shopping sprees on a regular basis. It truly is a tragedy because, it's not like the people don't have the ability to be able to be productive and get things done economically. It's really that they're being held back politically, by their country and by the US. It's just one of those things where like, the government is doing a lot to the Venezuelan government is doing a lot to hold people back,
Yeah. So I have to take the rag off. Wave check real quick. Let me know how I'm looking, y'all. Thank you. So
fresh.
Thank you. I need a cut. Man, that's the one thing I miss about
Those
DR.
Real things right there.
That's one thing I miss about DR. My Haitian barber. Shout out to Nico. That's my Haitian barber. Because out here in Brazil, their cuts are cool, but they don't put the razor to your head. They put the razor blade to your hairline, but nothing but the razor. So they don't give you that sharpness that I'm looking for. Richest asks, what type of online work do you do? Freelancer, what platform, industry? If he doesn't mind sharing, goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. So I work in tech. So I would say, at this point in my business, I get most of my clients and most of my referrals, they come to me. But one platform that I've used to get a lot of work and that I know works for a lot of freelancers is Upwork. Upwork.com. That it takes some time to kind of build up a profile, but once you have a few projects under your belt, it really is a very, very good platform to get business. And then if you ever get bored, go on Upwork, look up a particular skill that you might be interested in, and then see the jobs that are being posted. You can see how recently they were, how many hours are available, what the people's budgets are, and that kind of stuff. And that'll give you an idea of what you could possibly earn on a regular basis. And then if you can also see how many proposals people have sent out, a lot of times there's more demand for, certain skills than there are, people who can actually fulfill them. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity on Upwork.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. JC Josh says, no, I live in Memphis, but I'm going to do a Miami consulate. Okay, easier. Miami's closer. Hustle Soul separately was good. Do we need a visa to visit DR? No, you do not. You go there before you fly. When you get to the airport, it's going to take longer. You fill out the e-ticket. And then that's it. But you don't need a visa to go to the Dominican Republic. Ryan T dropping some Venezuela gems tonight. He says Venezuela isn't closed off to the world, only closed off to Americans.
Mm-hmm. But we are, the thing about Americans, though, is we are the biggest consumers, we're the biggest spenders when it comes to these places. So, like, you might as well be closed off to the rest of the world if you closed off to Americans, because whatever Europeans and Canadians spend, we're going to go there and spend triple, quadruple.
I guess Venezuela feels in a way like America's just go to places and just fuck shit up. Kind of like I don't know if you ever seen Beverly Hills Cop 2 when Eddie Murphy went to the Playboy Mansion. He was like, party's over, everybody. He just fucked it up for everybody. That's basically what Venezuela's saying to Americans. Like,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it is an amazing. Well, the thing is, the other thing too is that like I wouldn't even if we could go to Venezuela, the current state of the country right now isn't like a lot of people are struggling there economically. You know what I'm saying? Like the economy's not thriving the way that it could, and all this other stuff. There's a lot of there's obviously there's two classes. You know what I mean? There's people who are doing really well, and then there are people doing poorly, and that kind of stuff. And so it just makes it so that it's not as rich of an experience as it could be, considering, you know what I mean, if you look at how where Venezuela was in the 1950s, where it was in the 1940s, and that kind of thing, it was a totally different experience. There were Venezuelans who were living better than most Americans at that time. So to go from that to what it is now, that's the tragedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Ryan T, for that. Rich's Mentor says, I was born and raised in Guyana. Oh, James is back. I was born and raised in Guyana, right next to Venezuela. There are lots of Venezuelans in Guyana. Next best place, good vibes.
That's what's up.
Definitely. Man, Richard's mentor, you just tempted me because when I tell you I just want to meet a nice Venezuelan person, I love them, man. Shout out to the. She probably watches right now. The one Venezuelan I met, spent time in the Dominican Republic, used to hold me down.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ask for nothing.
Yeah.
And I just kicked that out the window. That was definitely my bad. Global Paper. Frank Matthews used to get his drugs from Venezuela. And shout out to Ace Live. Ace Live is over there right now. He's been over there for
yeah. So Ace Live got a pass. I mean, he got a visa to enter, so it's definitely possible. I just don't know the process.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. But I know I've been hitting up my Venezuelans like here and there. Like, I've been sending them the hey big head texts. Like, hey, listen, you want to let me in? You want to bring me with you? Yeah. So James is back after technical difficulties. So James, Colombia, gonna catch you up to speed a little bit with the questions. How's your Spanish, and what's knowing Spanish enhance your experience?
Poquito, Espanol. Yes, Spanish will enhance your experience because you could talk to more people. Like obviously, like my main girlfriend, she's a college educated English speaker. In fact, she's going to America to work for a couple of months. So yeah, you can meet like the Americans. I mean, you meet more people who speak English, and they're going to speak English to you. Whereas if you knew Spanish fluently, you could talk to anybody. So I mean, Google Translate don't take you so far.
So James, you said your main girlfriend. How many girlfriends do you have out there?
Okay, now see, okay, we can talk game. Okay, like I say again, you want to have. It's like okay, dating in Colombia is like dating in America. So, like in Colombia, I mean, like in Dominican Republic, because it's so tourist, they get 7 million tourists a year and 11 million island. Everybody knows that if they link with you, it's a good thing. Here, you meet people, they don't know any Americans, and they don't really think about that. So you might get left on red. So in other words, I only take them as serious as they take me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, so yes, I have like I said, again, if I was to claim her, she going to America for 2 or 3 months. I mean, I don't know what the hell she's going to do up there. So, I mean, but she's a good friend. She's good people, but got to have more than one. I'm sorry.
Okay, I feel you. Rule, how you moving out here when it comes to dating? Like, I know you say you're working on your Portuguese, but I know. Am I wrong to assume that you would say Portuguese would enhance your experience?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that if you if you can speak some Portuguese, and here's the other thing too, is that even if you only know a little bit, just know a few things, and you show like if you're talking to a Brazilian girl, if you show her that you're trying, you know what I mean, it that goes a long way to kind of show that, hey, you're not just here to just show up and then leave, you know what I mean? Which is one of the things that, especially in Rio, like some people are a little averse to that, where it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know how long you're going to be here, so what's the point, and all that stuff, and building a connection and all that. But if you show them that you're trying to, speak the language, learn the culture, you show them things that you appreciate, and that kind of stuff, I think it does work well in kind of demonstrating, how, the way that you feel about their country and that kind of stuff. I would say Brazilians are definitely proud people, and so you want to make sure that, like, if you can speak the language a little bit and that kind of stuff, people will make more of an effort to go out of their way to, to guide you, to help you, and also, it might be a little bit easier to date. There are certain girls where, like, I approached them in Portuguese, but then I just had to switch to Google Translate because I didn't have any more words that I could kind of put together. And so she was patient with me, you know what I mean? Like, she would type the messages on the phone and we would exchange that way, you know what I mean? So, but you can get to that point and still have positive dating experiences. It's really just a matter of you kind of going that extra mile of showing, hey, I'm really trying to learn this language.
I got one thing to say about that. That goes for any country. The reason why Dominican Republic has a bad reputation is because they're used to people coming down there for a week, a weekend, or whatever, and having a little fling. So, so basically Dominican women, they will meet you where you are. So it's like, oh, okay, you're a tourist. I see you speaking English. So we're going to link, but, I already know what's up with you. So, you know what I'm saying? So, so like I said, you come to a city like Cali, it's not really like that. It's not like Medellin. It's not like Cartagena. It doesn't have a whole lot of tourists that come in. So, like, it's more genuine connections. So,
which is a good thing. Dre swears that's a good thing. He loves it that way. He says,
it is. It's genuine connections. I got one question about to y'all about Brazil. I mean, I was looking at No Excuses on video. Brother, he knows a lot about Brazil and stuff like that. He was telling me if you go to Rio and you're looking for black women, that it's like going to Phoenix. It's like you don't expect to see them unless you're going up in the favelas. It's not really like people think. It's not like you're just going to go and like see all of them all the time, especially in Copacabana or La Blanc. Is that correct?
I mean, I definitely see a lot of black women. I mean, right now I live in Ipanema. I would say there's definitely less black people, and then the black people that you do see are, they're generally working, working either on the beach or like at a bar, at a restaurant or something like that. I would say I see more. There's a beach in Copacabana, and it's called Rasta Beach, and that's like the black beach.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so that area, like if you want to see black Brazilians, that's the spot to go to. There's definitely, a lot of folks. One, it's almost like a safe space for people who are stoners and that kind of stuff. They can kind of smoke, give them any problems and that kind of thing. But then also, there's a few booths. So there's like a DJ. They play hip hop music. You know what I mean? They play reggae music. They play a lot of so it's a whole vibe out there. So you just kind of have to know where people go. There's another place in Rio. It's called Casa Black Rio. It's a bar.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that bar, you know what I mean? It's literally for the black culture. You really just have to connect with the black people because the black culture is its own thing, and I would say like the white European Brazilian culture is its own thing. You know what I mean? Like Brazil is a country of it's multidimensional. There's a lot of things going on where it's not necessarily like people are separate from each other. It's just that like a lot of cultures, a lot of rich history from different types of places, different types of people. So you kind of have to go out. You kind of have to make those steps to find those kinds of things. But it's definitely there. The samba schools are all black. You know what I'm saying? You find, I mean, they're basically run by the black community and that kind of stuff. In fact, someone was telling me that samba and carnival is how the black community basically communicates to the rest of the world what's going on. So that's why a lot of times you'll see that some of the things that they post are like politically charged. This year, the samba school that won in carnival, they the float that they did and the dance that they made was an homage to an African god that the Portuguese colonizers used to take. They used to take that particular god and say, oh, they worship the devil, and basically created this whole stigma. And so this year they decided to kind of change that narrative and take it back and be like, no, this is the god that our ancestors worship, and then this is what the story was and all this other stuff. And then they ended up winning the carnival this year. So yeah, there's a lot of cultural things. You kind of have to find it. You're going to find a lot more Black people in Copacabana for sure, but they're out here. They're definitely out here. You just a lot of times though, you're just going to see them working. You know what I mean? Especially during the day. When you go out, you're going to see them at bars and that kind of stuff too. And it's all love. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of making sure that you go into the spots where they're going to be at. You know what I mean? Because there are places where more folks congregate than others. You know what I'm saying?
There is a story I want to drop right before I get to the comments. I see you guys content. Make sure all of you guys watching this live stream, you just not joining in. What's up? Got Rude Awakening representing Brazil. He's a Brazilian expat. Got James out in Cali, Colombia, representing Colombia. I myself am speaking for DR, but I'm in Brazil. We ain't gonna get into the details. But James, I met a Brazilian girl about 2 weeks ago, and she looks like Pocahontas.
Wow.
Pocahontas, like in the face, body type, color. She legit looks like she could be like native, whatever. But when we had a conversation, she'll tell me like, "Oh no, I'm African. My ancestors are African. My ancestors weren't religious. They worship the gods and the earth and nature and things." And I'm looking at her, and like when the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth doesn't match like the person. I'm looking at her, and like secretly inside of me, I'm just applauding, like you go. And she's like, "Yeah, I've experienced racism. I experienced this." I'm like, "How?" When you look like you could just be any other person, but she's a proud Afro-Brazilian, and I maybe one day I'll get her on the show once I get my Portuguese up. She's a little bit. You know what I mean? Crazy though. But how are we gonna talk about? Let's get to these comments. Global Paper says the biggest difference between Brazil and Colombia and other Spanish-speaking countries: girls in Brazil are not patient with the language, whereas in Colombia and DR they will work with you. Okay. Super bad, brother. Rude Awakening. Are you in Sao Paulo? I'll be there on the 3rd. Let's link up.
Yeah, I'll be in Sao Paulo starting Saturday. Saturday, I'll be over there.
Saturday. Sao Paulo Brazil has the largest Black university in South America. Palmeiras. James, he's reeling you in right now.
Okay. See, I wouldn't even think about Sao Paulo, but
shout out to Global Paper. Global Paper, if you're out here in Brazil, let's link up, please. Definitely. Let's exchange info. Rich's Method, what's up? My Dominican Haitian girlfriend is afraid that if I go to Brazil, I'll link up with a Black Brazilian girl and never come back to DR. And to be honest, Regis, your girl is bugging out. She bugging out because she's right. She right. She know you ain't gonna come back. She right. I can't hold it, man. It's a different vibe out here. It's a different vibe. And fellas, like now let's switch gears a little. And we know that, for the men and women, the ladies watching this channel, let's talk about dating. Let's talk about your dating experiences in these other countries, with what you bring in terms of, the language, not the language, your freedom, financial freedom, your time, your personality. How is dating for you in your respective expat country? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I could go first. I think it's been great. I think that the thing about Brazil is like it's such a big country and there's so much diversity that like whatever preferences you have and that kind of thing, you can find them here and then some. The thing I think culturally that makes dating Brazilian women really, really great is that I would say more often than not, Brazilian women are batteries included, meaning that the way that they're raised, the way that they, you know what I mean, they have they tend to be in a healthy position to actually form positive relationships where they're adding value to your life. You know what I mean, and that kind of thing. That's been my experience. A lot of women that I've dated out here, they're very smart. They're also very caring and kind. But you can find that. I mean, you can honestly find that in any country. But I would say more often than not, it's been nice to see. There's been situations where, like, I can tell a girl is interested in me because of what I can do for her, what I could possibly do for her financially. But then I've also dated, but I would say that's not normal. That's not the norm. The majority of the time, when I meet a girl, like, she's really interested in, like, our connection and that kind of thing. And then, if I'm doing well in life, that's just an added bonus more than it is something that is the primary reason why, she wants to be with me. So I would say that it's definitely a really, really cool. Really cool. And the other thing too is that, on average, I would say, like, obviously Brazilians, men and women, are known as being, like, really, really good looking people. So I feel like because of that culture of, like, having so many good looking people just all around each other all the time, they're kind of desensitized to it, where, if you're a guy and you're decent and you got good character and you're charming and all this other stuff, you know what I mean? You don't really feel. I've been at places where I feel, where there could be other guys where, like, they're, like, built and jacked and all this other stuff, and but I don't feel the same sense of competition that I would if I was, like, at a club in Miami or something like that, where, like, things are a little bit more surface level. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are, especially being here on the beach, a lot of people are in shape and stuff like that. But I feel like I have just as much of a chance as a woman that's in really, really good shape as I do, even if I'm not in shape or that kind of thing. So I think it's definitely it's been a cool experience. I'll say that for sure.
Love the confidence about it, and to point that out, it's like, and don't get them wrong, y'all. From me walking in these streets of Brazil, it's not like I've seen fit with fit. I've seen fit with, like, unfit, fit with half fit. People that don't even look like damn, he got that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to point out.
And it's nice. It's like there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a stigma. It's like there's no rules to this shit out
right,
here. Like,
and that also says a lot about how Brazilian women choose men too. And that's something that you want to keep in mind, is that, like, who you are as a person is going to be more important to her than your looks or what you can bring to the table most of the time. Don't get me wrong, there's always exceptions, but most of the time, who you are, what you're about, the connection that they have with you, and that kind of thing is going to be more interesting to them than than the superficial things that we tend to be used to here in the States.
Okay, now speaking on what I would say, now I can go in deep detail, but let me just talk about Colombia. In Colombia, it's not a whole lot different than America. I mean, you're going to be able to talk to a lot of women. Women are going to be interested in you because you're different. Not so much because they think you got money, because, I mean, I'm an expat, so I be here. It's like, I'm not really flossing. I don't really, I'm not really a flashy kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, a chick will tell you, it's like, they'll say, well, hey, you would look real good if you had, like, an earring in your ear and stuff like that. I didn't hear that at all in, like, Dominican Republic and stuff like that. Because in Dominican Republic, it kind of doesn't matter how you look at all or nothing, because
they only care about the homies you rolling with.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So it's like a Dominican chick will treat you like, I mean, how she will present herself what you want to present. If you're like a tourist and you coming down and you just want to hang out with her for a week, she's gonna ask you differently than you would if you was like you were here, you lived here, and stuff like that. So they can play it either way. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a girlfriend in the Dominican Republic. I didn't give her a dime, but you know, she was a hairdresser and she lived in Santo Domingo Este, which is not a tourist area. I met her on Twitter and she spoke perfect English. So I didn't ask her why. I mean, now she did tell me that she was a college educated person, and then in Dominican Republic, you have the option of learning English. But she didn't actually, I mean, I know I wasn't the first American guy she dated, but I didn't ask her a whole lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so you got that faith? Yes. It maybe was, but like I say, all I really mattered, and this is where I agree with George. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is how you act with me. So I can't really, you know, your past, your past. I'm dating other girls. I'm not really worried. All I care about is how she treats me when I'm with her.
Yeah.
You know, Colombia, it's like the difference in dating. Now, again, I was dating COVID in Dominican Republic, so there was a lot of curfew. So a date in Dominican Republic works like I would take him out for lunch. We would go eat. We'd hang out at the beach, go to Boca Chica someplace, and we would come back to my place and watch Netflix. The date ended when I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? If we were kicking it, it was cool. The date ended when I wanted to. In Colombia, it's more like if you talk to a girl and you ask her, like, okay, if you say, well, I don't know where I want to go, she's going to suggest Granada, which is like the nicest part of town, and it's going to be nice restaurants, which is cool. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it's going to be more of like a nighttime date, and she's going to hang out with you. She ain't going to cook for you unless you know her very well. So that's the difference.
So she doesn't. So in Colombia, they don't cook on the first date.
No. Not really. So it's more like America, like where they got to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Especially if you're not, you know, paying. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, you know, girls when you're just hollering at and meeting and stuff like that, and they have jobs.
I dig it. So I'm gonna share a little bit of the DR, and then you guys tell me how that translate to Colombia and Brazil, and if it's working better for you. And like we was just saying, James. And DR, they don't care if you got the earring. They don't care what shirt you got on. They don't care if you got the newest Jordans. They don't care if you bumping the newest Kendrick Lamar that just dropped. I'm about to go listen to that. I wish I had it. Oh man, I miss my J's. They care who you rolling with. They care about your homies.
What?
They care about your homies.
You mean your homies?
Yeah, they care about your homies. They're like,
you gotta expound on that. You gotta expound. Go ahead.
You know what I'm talking about. They care about your friends. They're like, listen, where your friends at? Who are you here with? Yeah. In the Dominican Republic, they care about your friends. I'm gonna tell you. So I'm gonna tell you the friends. They care about George. They care about Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
Richard.
I thought they wanted to run through your
man.
They care about Big Ben. They care about the homies.
Okay.
You here alone? Who you here with? How long are they here for?
Okay.
Are they coming back?
Yeah.
Do you have more?
Are they coming back? Are they staying with you?
Yeah.
Can they stay with me?
Yeah.
Type thing. So you know it's all about the out there in DR. No matter what you look like, no matter how old you are. Man, who was I talking to today? Brain freeze. I was talking to somebody today that was like, they spoke to a Uber driver in the Dominican Republic, and Jorge does this all the time. And the Uber driver is just like, yo, love does not exist in the Dominican Republic. It's just transactions. The women just want transactions. So just be prepared to pay.
Now let me go ahead. I mean,
and you know, y'all knows part of my story, some of my story, and it's not too far off to where it's like, man, if Dominican men know what it is, and I really wish I could remember who I had this conversation with, because they was like, yo, and not to justify it, but it's like, yo, Dominican men treat the women like shit. You always hear Dominican women say like, oh, Dominican men are machismo, or they treat us like shit, or this and that. But they still having their babies. Mm-hmm. They still with them end of the day, still married, still posted up, still booed up. Why? And he's like, because the Dominican men in a weird way have a blueprint to where, all right, I'm gonna give you what you're putting out. You're giving me shit, so I'm gonna treat you like shit. There's some weirdness going on. But what was you gonna say, James?
Well, it depends. See, the thing is, it's like my background is from Jamaica, so I know like I've been to Jamaica. I spent like a couple years in Jamaica, and like in Jamaica, the chicks I was like in a non-tourist where my family was from, and I was kind of hanging out, and girls wasn't like they didn't hear me talking, just jump on me and stuff like that. I was like, wow, it's because there's a lot of deportees down there. So just because you speak with an American twang, that don't mean anything. But what I'm saying is, like Jamaica is like Dominican Republic. They deal with a lot of tourists. So the reason why Dominican men can date Dominican women and not have as many problems because they got their number. They know what's up with them. It's like, okay, you treat me like I treat you, and just like how your buddy George is saying, it's like, look, treat me how you treat, like, okay, you act right with me, then I act right with you. So like, I don't really have like I had a Dominican. I would say my main in Dominican Republic. I asked her straight up because I was like, "Do you love me?" And she was like, she didn't answer me and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? I fucked with you. Well, I don't want to curse. I mess with you. You keep it real with me. You know what I'm saying? Because you just deal with me. Like again, she didn't ask me for no money. So when I go back to Dominican Republic this summer, or this like around August, I'm gonna get her a Price Smart card because I want to buy stuff from Price Smart. So I know she was trying to get a little juice stand going on. So I don't know if that's going to work and stuff like that, but I can give her a Price Smart card or whatever and, help her do her thing and stuff like that. And she keeps it real with me. So it's not like I'm like looking for like love and stuff like that, because if you want to act a fool with me, then okay, well, I just deal with somebody else. So you know what I'm saying? And that's how Dominican men treat their women. It's like, there's the door. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. You just got to be that way with them. And once you act that way with them, they'll start to they'll act right. It's like a lot of times dudes from unfortunately they go down there and they not used to seeing super pretty girls act right with them, so they go crazy. And it's people sending money. I mean, we had conversations about somebody sending thousands of dollars before you even meet the chick. You know what I'm saying? So you got to remember, they talking to their friends because there's only 11 million people on that daggone island. And they're like, yeah, man, I got a couple grand out this dude, and I ain't even meet him. That's going to give you a terrible reputation. So you have to go down and say, no, I live down here. I live down here. I'm not just, here fly by night. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? There's the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Burn something. You know what I'm saying?
It's not as easy, James, now where it's like, just say like, oh, I live down here. Don't treat me like that. Treat me different. It's not easy. It's like, it's up to a point where they don't care because, like Russ said, and I love this quote, probably going to have to get on a shirt, there's always another sucker.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So Brian T says, they'll tell you the Dominican men are machista because they want you to play the soft beta male role and give them money to do whatever they say. That's
true.
Make sure you guys screenshot that right there because that is pure facts. Rude. The problems that we're talking about in Colombia and in DR. So what's your experience with that? Is all this like foreign language to you in Brazil? Is it possible?
So this is one of the things that I was trying to say earlier. What I meant that, like, I think dating in Brazil, the women here, batteries included, is that you don't necessarily have to. You don't, especially, and here's the thing, right? Well, right now you and I are in Rio, so obviously there's going to be a little bit more of that type of thing going on here in Rio than there is in other places. But then once you get to places like Sao Paulo, or you get to places where they hardly see any Americans and that kind of stuff, and there's a bunch of cities that are like 1 million plus people where they hardly see Americans at all, like Belo Horizonte, Goiânia, Recife, Natal, all of these different places. They don't run into Americans a lot, and so they don't have I would say that the American dollar hasn't really distorted their perception of how they should be dating and what they can. In other words, they're not, when they meet someone, they're just looking to see if this person's cool, if this person's chill. They're not looking to see what they can extract out of them. So like you can, I would say out of all the places that I've been to, especially South America and that kind of stuff, you're going to find a lot of genuine connections here in Brazil. I trust, like for example, like when I've had girls over, I'm never concerned about leaving my wallet out. I'm never concerned about, you know what I mean, leaving things out or things missing and that kind of stuff. That just doesn't happen. It happens. Don't get me wrong, but it's very rare, and I think out of all the places, it's less likely to happen here. For example, like when when I was in Sao Paulo, I had to go to the hospital, and one of the nurses started talking to me, and her and I started having a conversation about technology. She was trying to get into tech, so I was giving her some advice. Next thing I know, she's asking me for my number. Next thing I know, we're hanging out and going on dates. Next thing I know, she's in my apartment and all this other stuff. But it wasn't because it was, one, because it was I could communicate with her, and two, because the things that we were interested in similar things. But there wasn't like the thing that I appreciate the most about Brazil is like the girls that I connect with and that kind of stuff really do care about me and who I am as a person. And they appreciate those details about me more so than the dollars that I have in my pocket. Now, there's always, having dollars in your pocket is always going to be an advantage, because like, to give you an example, there was a girl that I was dating, and she was telling me how she had just recently lost her job because of COVID and stuff, and the things that were going on with COVID, and that she needed money for that semester. But like college here is like maybe 1,500 reais for the semester, which is like $300. So I gave that to her. And then a few, maybe like a month and a half later, she told me, she was like, listen, I was actually on the verge of dropping out of college if you hadn't given me that money. But she never asked for it. You know what I mean? Like, I would say that the way that the women here, at least in my experience, the way that the women here have treated me, it almost inspires me to want to do something for them, to have a meaningful impact on their life, more so than it feels like it's a transaction that I'm performing.
That's a simple case of give what you want to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me ask you this, Rude. When you went down there, before you knew the language, did you date at all? Did you fold under pressure? I mean, it's YouTube. Did you fold under pressure, or did you like say, you know what? Because like when I'm getting down there, I'm thinking like I'm gonna force myself to learn the Portuguese because I'm not gonna be able to talk to people. So
I think so I would say that you want to have a healthy balance of both.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You want to have a healthy balance of both. But I'll say that it doesn't matter how your approach is, you're still going to find, for the most part, you know what I mean? Especially like if you meet someone in person and you build up that connection and that kind of stuff, you're going to find for the most part that the treatment is the same. The treatment is you're going to get treated very well. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just a matter of deciding, like for me, Tinder has worked pretty well, but also going out to bars has worked well as well. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of, how that particular moment in time and the connection. Like when I went to the hospital that day, I didn't expect to get this nurse's number. Another thing too is that women out here shoot their shot, but they're not, you know what I mean? They're not shy to shoot their shot, and they'll make it obvious. They'll hold eye contact for an extra period, for an extra period of time or something like that. Or, they'll give you a smile where basically they may not be saying, hey, I want to get with you, but basically kind of indicating to you that they're approachable, which is really cool. And then another thing too is that like, when you do approach, you don't get like a lot of times this is a country where it's okay to approach women, you know what I'm saying? And say, say hello, introduce yourself. You may not get, the response that you may not get the response you want all the time, but at the same time, there isn't anything where there's like a social like people a faux pas of don't approach women, you know what I mean? Like for example, in France, there are actual laws where like if you hit on women in a certain way, it's that you can actually be fined and that kind of stuff. Here, you know what I mean? Yes, yeah. But it's basically you can't catcall in France, right? So there's not that same culture. Obviously, catcalling is like, that's not the way to go. But like you can, if you see a woman at a library or something like that, and you want to say hi and approach them, it's not weird. Like a girl's not going to give you like a weird vibe. She may not respond. You know what I mean? Or she may be like, nah, I'm not interested. But outside of that, it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? You shoot your shot, you dribble, you miss. But outside of that, though, it's definitely something that you can do. Like you could go to a mall and just talk to random people, approach women, and just talk to them and see if there's a connection. If she wants to get to know you more, if she wants to grab a coffee, which is nice because I feel like, especially with the pandemic in the U.S., that was something that was already on the decline in terms of approaching women and that kind of thing. And then I feel like that's still something that women appreciate here, for sure.
So just let me nail you down in this. So you could go to the mall or you can go to Copacabana Beach and say hello to women. And you don't necessarily have to go to Mavs per se, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can definitely like I would say you're gonna have a combination of both experiences. Like I've been approached, and I've also approached women. But for me, like the women that a lot of times I Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, he used to call them choosing signals.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like women out here do put out the choosing signals. If you know how to see them and that kind of stuff, like you'll be able to know, oh, okay, yeah. I could probably say hi to her, have a conversation, there's no guarantee, but it's a fun interaction. Like when I was on the beach, you know what I mean? There were certain times where like I would end up having conversations, with this woman, and it was basically like maybe we'd see something funny and then I would comment on it, and then then next thing we know, we're having a conversation and they're like, oh, I'm from this city and that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, well, I was about to go over here. Do you want to grab a drink? And then, things kind of started from there. So there's something for everybody. You know what I mean? Okay. There's definitely something for everybody. I would say, a lot of times I would say Brazil is definitely an abundance experience where like there's no lack of anything here. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of how you set it up and that kind of stuff. But there's no lack of anything. So there's definitely plenty, for all different tastes, all different approaches.
Okay, James, I don't know if I got to ask you before your power went out, but did I ask you how are you happy with the dollar?
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, now y'all were talking about costs before I got cut out, and that almost never happens. It's the fourth time. I've been here 13 months. That's the fourth time the power went out like that. So there's that. But
and you said there was an earthquake earlier too.
Yeah, there was an earthquake, so there might have been something to do with that. You never know. But having said all that, like I'll just say this. Okay, now I'm in a furnished spot because I know Dre was telling me when he was saying on the live that he paid $400 for his spot. Now, the dollar went up against the Colombian peso. Don't ask me why the Dominican peso went down, meaning it went like don't ask me why that happened. That shouldn't happen. But the American dollar is stronger. And like I say again, so my rent went down about $20. So it's like I paid $400 and or 1.5, which is about $400. And it went down to like $380. So, you know what I'm saying? So the dollar went up against the peso. So like my rent is a little bit cheap because I'm in an Airbnb. Well, yeah, I'm in an Airbnb. And my rent is $400 for furnished. So just throwing it out there. As far as girls is concerned, the difference I would say between Dominican Republic and here, because I haven't been to Brazil, is that as soon as you open your mouth and they know you're a gringo, I mean, 9 times they're going to be nice to you. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Not that they're definitely going to get on you, but they're going to be nice to you. Here, in Cali, it doesn't register like English dollars. They don't think like that. So anybody you meet is more likely to be a genuine connection. But like, because when I was in the Dominican Republic and I was asking people about Colombia, I was like, well, what's the best place? They was like, Colombia. So I'm like, why are you here? And they were telling me the women in Colombia are flaky, and that's true because it's more like you holler at them and you know, like they might slow text you. You know what I'm saying? That never happened in the Dominican Republic. The girl could be on the North Coast and you could be on the South Coast. She'll come down, no problem. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa.
Because they have that motivator.
Right, exactly. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? But in Colombia, the chick may not come across town if she don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? So if she do come across town, it's because she likes it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's that. But, you know, I mean, but all these girls, it's like, again, like I had a chick ask me for money in Dominican Republic. I just said, I ain't got it. And she said, okay, we still went on dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, I mean, it's just like, you just gotta just keep it real with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm not here. I mean, okay, if you're not a lady of the night, don't act like one. Don't treat me like I'm like, you know what I'm saying now, you know what I'm saying? If you didn't approach me that way, keep it like that. Now, I understand, you know, we date and stuff like that. I mean, you might need something here and there and stuff like that, but we'll go out somewhere nice, but I'm not paying bills. That's not happening. And you don't have to do that, even in the Dominican Republic, because they know that in the clutch, like I say again, it's like, you know, if something messed up or something like that in the clutch, then that's when you know, hey, I'm really messed up out here. And once you know how much stuff costs, you can say, all right, I can help you out with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's it.
Something I want to point out too, and maybe not necessarily in Rio, but like in Sao Paulo, when you go on dates, the general expectation is that you split the check.
Split the bill?
Yeah, that's normal in Brazil.
Oh, you making it sound? Oh my God!
Yeah, that's normal. In fact, put it this way, right?
I'm about to get a fight.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing, right? I still always pay for the, pay for dinner and all that stuff. But the thing is like, women here don't have that expectation of like you paying the bill, and so when you pay, it's like, oh, I was not expecting that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for them, it's like, oh wow, okay, yeah. So it's like a respect. There's an appreciation.
So what if you went to Texas, do Brazil? I know it's an American restaurant, but you know, like a nice steakhouse. It got rid of them. What?
Well, here's the thing, right? If you go there, I think the expectation is that you are paying, because a normal Brazilian, like an average Brazilian, isn't going to go there, you know, to a spot like that. You're going to take them to a place that they can't even afford. You know what I mean?
Different.
Yeah, that's different. But I'm talking like if you go to a bar and you have a drink or you have a few beers, you have a regular restaurant. Yeah, I swear to God. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm about to go now.
And this is something like you can ask Brazilian women about this. It's like, hey, is it true that like when you go out on dates and that kind of thing? And it depends. Again, Rio is kind of in its own bubble, because Rio's been a city that has been taking in foreigners from all around the world. And so their standards, their expectations, and how they do things is like one way. But Sao Paulo and the rest of the other Brazilian cities do not get as many tourists as Rio. So as a result, the dating experience is totally different. It's totally different.
50-50.
James, hold on, James. Hold on. You're going crazy over the 50-50. Like I can literally hear James' suitcase packing itself right now. James, what's happening to you in Colombia that 50-50 got you so hyped?
No, I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm a little turned up for the YouTube, but I mean, no, I'm not a regular dude. I mean, I don't expect to, like, you know, like I say again, maybe we grew up in America, maybe we all simps. I mean, yeah, if I invite you out, I'm paying. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
That caught me off guard too. I'm like 50-50. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
because in my time dating in DR, you know, when that bill come out, they look at everywhere. They look at everywhere. They like this. They on their phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's with you. Not that we expected it, but it's just funny. Like, yo, chill. We invited you out. We didn't expect you to pay it. You heard me?
Yeah,
Didn't
that's,
expect you to pay it.
that's what I mean by the.
We know.
Yo, that's kind of what I mean by batteries included. Is that there's less entitlement here. There's less
Magic word.
entitlement when it comes to dating. Like women here are proud to stand on their own 2 feet. When it comes to a lot of these things. And but at the same time, though, it's not that they don't appreciate a gentleman. It's that they have this. It's like they want to be able to know they don't need a gentleman in order for, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, look, I can do this myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, and this is I would say you'll experience this a lot more in Sao Paulo. Rio is again its own bubble because Rio is a world city. And that kind of thing, especially if you're in Copacabana, if you're in Ipanema and that kind of thing, you're going to experience. But if you go to like for example, if you meet a girl from Barra da Tijuca, if you meet a girl from Recreo, and you like someone who lives there full time and that kind of stuff, and grew up there and went to school there and everything, and you ask them out on a date, you meet them at a bar, you ask them out on a date, the general expectation is probably going to be, oh yeah, I'm splitting this 50-50 with them.
Now let me say this.
They on that. I'm every woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let me be the Dominican women defense force. Would you got something to say?
Yeah. I just want to get to this comment right here from Global Paper. He says, I have 17 years in Brazil, and I have been to many states and cities in Brazil. I have never experienced 50-50. Or sorte.
Yeah, I mean, I always pay anyway, but what I'm saying is that you will. I've when I was in Sao Paulo, I had enough experiences where a girl was like pulling out her wallet to pay her part, and it depends on where you are. You know what I mean? Like it depends on where you are and who you're dating and that kind of thing. You know, if you're dating a girl from the favela, or if you're dating a girl that's like really low income and that kind of stuff, like if you go out somewhere and her monthly income is like 1,500 or 2,000 reais, and you're asking her and you're taking her out to a 200 reais dinner, you know what I mean? You're talking about 10% of her income. So that's
explain a favela real quick.
Favela's just it's an informal neighborhood. It's basically it would be the equivalent of like a barrio in Colombia or Dominican Republic, where the housing may not be formal. You know what I mean? It could be like shanty houses and that kind of stuff. It's like a poorer neighborhood where folks aren't, but even in areas that aren't favelas, where like the cost of living, because the cost of living for real Brazilians, like people who live here and that kind of stuff, can be really, really low. Like I know a girl who's paying 900 reais for a 2-bedroom apartment, and 900 reais is basically the equivalent of like $190 a month. So you know what I mean? But think about it: if you were in the U.S. and you're paying $900 a month, if you want to think about like the dynamic between reais and dollars and that kind of thing, so it's kind of like the same that same kind of nuance. So if you meet a girl that lives there and has that kind of income, you know what I mean? You're not gonna get that 50-50 experience. But in Sao Paulo, there are women with money. You know what I mean? There are plenty of successful women there. Like when I was in Sao Paulo, I was working out of a WeWork office and that kind of stuff. Most of the people who work there are either working in tech, working in marketing, working in some type of thing where like they have dynamic careers, they have income. You know what I mean? I was dating girls who were nurses. I was dating girls who were doctors, lawyers, and that kind of thing. Like there's plenty of like working professionals that, you know what I mean? When you go on a date with them, the generally speaking, it's 50-50. That's what, and even if they don't genuinely mean it, they do pull out their wallet and like, here, I'll contribute. And then I have to be like, nah, I'm going to pay for this. I got this. I've had to do that many times in Brazil for sure.
Now go ahead.
But my 2 experiences with Brazil has been Sao Paulo and Rio. So you know what I mean? So those are where that's where my experiences are coming from.
Now let me be the Dominicana Defense Force.
Go ahead.
Now the thing about it is, it's like you're a tourist and you're dating. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how real I want to keep it with y'all, but I'll just tell you like the experience, because I didn't know nothing when I went to the Dominican Republic, because we're all from New York. So to me, when I think of, like I said, I'm from the 90s. So when I think of Dominican Republic, I think of San Francisco de Macorís. You know what I'm saying? I think of Poppy the Connect, not so much the two. I didn't know anything about that. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I went down there and like I met a chick and we had like a coffee date. And she brought an overnight bag. So it is what it is, right? So anyway, I literally walked her to the bus because she lived in San Cristobal, which is like a beach town a little bit further down and stuff like that. And, you know, we had a good time. And I called her a couple of days later. It's like, hey, can we, we can have another date and stuff like that. She was like, maybe and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, what the hell? She kind of played me, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand, right? So I had a friend tell me, said, well, did you give her any money? I'm like, no, she didn't ask me for no money. He's like, well, usually they expect you to throw a little in their purse. And I'm like, she didn't ask. You know what I'm saying? So she kind of like, she was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. It's like, okay, now, if you expected, like, if I went on a 50-50 date, I have no expectation. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I go out on a date and stuff like that, then I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it depends on what I spent and stuff like that. But I'm not expecting to be left on red the next day or something like that. So, you know what I'm saying? So if you're dating chicks, and long as it can progress and you can, you have fun and stuff like that, then I'm with that. But, unfortunately, people go at Dominicans like, let's just keep it real. They keep pay for play because they're down there for a week. They're down there they have a good time, not a long time.
Nah, man. Even when listen to the Dominicans that live there. They're basically saying, yo, it's pay for play or die. They're like, hey, don't bring love to it. Don't bring logic. Yo, it's pay for play. You with them, you paying. My thing is, James, what you said, and with what Rude said, what I like more about what Rude said is the E word.
Entitlement.
Exactly. That's the situation you went through. The entitlement of like, I don't have to ask him for money. He's supposed to give it to me.
True.
He's supposed to know he's supposed to give me money. Even though you ain't get cheese that night, even though you ain't paid for dinner, you probably paid for a bus ticket. You still gotta break her off for her presence.
Yep.
And like, yo, if I'm paying for your presence, you better have on one white glove, some black shoes, curly hair, and you better be doing the moonwalk across fucking sand. If I'm gonna pay for your presence.
True.
Ain't no way, because that entitlement is just like, yo, at a point it's like, who are you? Because are you gonna do this back home with your parents? Are you gonna do this like James said with Poppy in the concho? No, you're not. So that's something like, yo, I'm always just like, yo, leave that shit at home. If you're not gonna do that shit at home, don't bring that shit to my home. The entitlement thing is huge.
I mean, and this is one thing that you always have to keep in mind too. Like, I only know a few people who are living off of passive income. So I only know a few people living off of passive income. So if you look at, you're working, you're exchanging your time, which you'll never get back, for dollars and that kind of thing as well. So like, you want to make sure that, like, if you're going to be doing that, you know what I mean? The receiving party should be, should appreciate the fact that, hey, you worked for this. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of it's not something that we get a lot, especially as men. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you go out of your way to do these things, you may not get that appreciation. I'm just saying that, like, when I've gone out of my way for somebody, when I've gone out of my way for somebody here, I've definitely seen that appreciation. I've seen that gratitude. It's not I don't get the sense of of any entitlement. I don't get the sense of, that they expected me to do it, or it's something that is normal for them. So that to me is something that I've appreciated. Obviously, we're talking about a country of 200 million people. You know what I mean? I haven't met all of them. So, but these have been my experiences, and so that's all I'm going to speak.
That shit just don't stick with me. Just like the pay for the presence is like the entitlement, and the entitlement goes so far on different levels. Like, yo, I was with somebody, I was in a relationship with somebody where I was like, yo, I worked hard for this. She's like, oh, but you have it, so you have to do this. She basically, I have the money, so I need to.
Wow, that's crazy. Was that shorty that I saw with you with, or was that somebody?
Yeah,
that's crazy. And she seemed like a nice girl to me, so I'm surprised she tripped like that.
Shit, played it well. They you see that's the thing, James. Somebody said that earlier in the comment where like, yo, they come, they do this, they do that. They come on with the sad tune, the raw stories. I've been abused. I haven't been loved. I'm searching. I'm unmarried. The kids, be my hero, and then we fall for that shit. They like they tug at the emotions, the heartstrings of humanity, and then boom, mask off like Future.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Now I have seen where chicks I've broken up with have ended up with other Americans. I'm like, okay, I see how you're moving. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that. So I will say that.
It goes so much deeper. I would love to have this conversation today. I think I need to have like some sake brew and a blunt, and I would love to just turn on the camera, have this conversation one day. Actually, yeah, when I get back to DR, I want to have my homegirl, Nikki, sit down. I mean, Nikki only appeared in one of my videos, but I hit her up. I was like, yo, Nikki, I need you to sit down. So we're going to have a real live Dominican woman born and raised and living in the Dominican Republic come here and talk to you so y'all can see that I'm not tweaking because shit crazy out there. Shout out to Muhammad Ali on the late night chat. He says, if she offers to pay, does that mean she don't like you? Usually, if they eat for free, they come back with you, right?
I think they would if they want to come back with you, they're going to come back. Like I said, women, at least, and again, I'm speaking from I've lived in Colombia, I've been to DR, but I'm only speaking from the Brazil, point of view though. Like my experience in Brazil, like if she's going to come back with you, she's going to come back with you regardless. You know what I mean? It doesn't really have the dynamic of paying. I think it's more about her saying, "Hey, I can contribute." It's more about saying, "Hey, this," you know what I mean? Like I'm in other words, I'm not. If anything, it's more of a way of her kind of showing, "Hey, I'm not here to use you." Does that make sense? More than it is of saying, "Hey, I don't like you, and that's why I'm paying." I think in America, when a girl offers to pay, it could be a coin flip as to her basically maybe saying, "Hey, I don't like you," or maybe her saying, "Hey, I can contribute." It really depends. You know what I mean? I can't, but I would say for the most part, at least the sense that I've gotten is when she's offered to pay is more her saying, "Hey, I got it too." Like I was talking, like I met this other girl. She's a banker. She's an investment banker in a small, not in a small city. She lives in Belo Horizonte. She got her own house, got her own car, and all this other stuff. And I was talking to her, and then basically her response to me was like, "Yo, I got my own." We were talking about something, and she's like, "Listen, I got my own house and my own car. I ain't trying to waste my time, blah blah blah." And I was just like, I got my own house and I got a car too. So what's up? I was like, it sounded like we a good match, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like a playful thing where, women here are ambitious. Again, I'm speaking from like, it depends. Like I'm talking about professional level women and that kind of stuff. Like women who went and got secondary education, you know what I'm saying? And they're doing their thing in the marketplace, whether it's working as a lawyer and that kind of stuff. So they're earning more than the average income. They're not struggling financially. They can afford to pay for their own place. They're not struggling to pay bills, but they want to date. Like, for example, that neighborhood that we went to, Gavea, that's a very well-to-do neighborhood in Brazil. If you have an apartment out there, if you're living out there, you're probably living better than the average Brazilian. You know what I mean? But if you're a single woman and you're living out there, you're probably doing better than most. So what is it that you're looking for if you're out there having a good time dating? You're not looking for someone to pay for your restaurant bill. You're looking for someone that you're attracted to, that you can connect with, that you're going to have a good time with. You know what I mean? So the needs are different. You know what I'm saying? Those needs are more valuable than the dollars that you can bring, because you know what I mean? She can pay all her bills, all her things are already there. But you're about to say something, James?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, do they have enough time for you? Because, I mean, I know in Colombia that people usually work on Saturday. So really, they're working way more than 40 hours. So it's like if you date a chick, I mean, like she might be working. Like I have a girlfriend that she works for DoorDash in America, but she works in the call center here. So, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't have a whole lot of time. You know what I'm saying? So
I would say
go ahead.
For a city like Rio, you're going to have people, for the most part, they start work early and then finish. They start work early so they can finish early, so they can enjoy the beach and that kind of stuff. Me, I'm here and I'm working remotely. So I'm on a regular schedule too. Like I don't have all the time in the world. The most of the time when I'm mostly free is like either in the evenings or on the weekends. So the schedules tend to match up a little bit more, with folks that are also on that same type of schedule as well.
So when you're dating a woman, you can pretty much see her regularly. It's not like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So I have to date somebody else who was in,
Another thing that I do too is I try to I try to make sure that like the women that I'm dating, there's like a good proximity. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that one of the reasons why I like Sao Paulo, and one of the reasons why I like Rio as well. I might on Tinder, I might put like a 5-mile radius. You know what I mean? But the reason why is because there's plenty of
traffic.
Yeah, well, not even traffic. You can get from one point of the city to the other. You know what I'm saying? And it's not really a problem. But the reason why I do the 5-mile radius is the rule of convenience. The more convenient it is for her to link up with me and me to link up with her, the more likely it is that I'm going to be able to see her more spontaneously, throughout an interaction. Same thing with Sao Paulo. It's a very densely populated city. 25 million people in the metropolitan area and that kind of stuff. But if I focus on the people that are only, within like a 5-mile radius, that's like maybe 2 or 3 stops on a subway ride. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very easy and convenient to be able, it's not that I wouldn't date somebody within like a 20-mile radius, but if I only swipe, if I set the criteria to only be people within a 5-mile radius, the likelihood of me being able to see her on a regular basis and connect that way is definitely dramatically increases. But it really only works with like cities where there's like a larger population and enough people on Tinder that you can kind of, do the numbers game and, swipe right on enough, on enough to connect with them.
I sure miss Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't use Tinder at all, and I'm still doing okay here in the Colombia. I'll say that the entitlement issue is much lower than the Dominican Republic.
Perfect.
And the women, like I say, it's more genuine. I mean, you will know if she likes you because she don't. Like, in other words, it's more like America. It's like, again, you wouldn't ask in America if a chick likes you, because if she deals with you, she deals with you. And the same here in Colombia. It's like, if she deals with you, she deals with you. You know what I'm saying? The issue is mainly in Colombia, it's like, okay, if she's working, how much free time does she have? That type of situation. But other than that, I mean, it's less, they just don't assume. They don't go to money.
I know a few dudes who pay their way out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically pay for a chicken. Take less hours, I'll cover it. Just spend more time, me, stuff like that. I know a few people who definitely move like that. So you say you don't use what do you use out there to meet women, James? What do you?
I go to the mall and holler.
Okay, you go to mall holler with the broken Spanish. I feel it.
Well, so James, if you do that, you come to Brazil, you're not gonna have a problem at all.
That's what I wanted to hear, because I didn't hear that. I mean, people were talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, I would say, in Colombia, I definitely felt women were approachable. Women are just as approachable here, and they're receptive to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, because I didn't know that, because I was asking everybody in these groups and stuff like that. I'm like, can you holler? Because everybody's like, preves, boats, or I don't even know how to pronounce that word, 4x4, Mabs, La Dulce Beach. I'm like, okay, cool. But can you holler at a chick? Because say what you want about Dominican Republic, you could definitely holler at a chick on the street. And in Cali, you can holler at a chick on the street. You know what I'm saying? And get the number and stuff like that.
I would say the biggest burden, not the burden, the biggest hurdle when it comes to hollering at women in Brazil. So, and this is just some advice, right? And actually, you know what? This might be a really helpful nugget for people. So if you're an English speaker, you're better off hollering at people in the richer areas of Brazil. You don't even bother with, I mean, you can do Copacabana and all that other stuff, but you're better off talking to women in Leblon, talking to women in Oveia, talking to women in Barra da Tijuca. And the main reason for that is because if you don't speak Portuguese already, the likelihood of them speaking English is going to be higher in the well-to-do neighborhoods.
Of course.
That's no. Yo, go ahead.
I went to Barra da Tijuca to do some paperwork. I had to sign some forms, notaries, get some stuff translated and that kind of stuff. That mall that I go to get all these different services, I found more people at that place that spoke English than I found anywhere else in Rio. And I was just shocked. I was just like, damn, okay. And then even when I was at Starbucks and I was working, I started speaking English and the girl turned around and she was just like, oh. And I could tell she could understand what I was saying. And so I started talking to her. And so like those areas, you're going to see, areas where there's universities, areas where there's richer neighborhoods and that kind of stuff, because the well-to-do families out here, they're going to pay that extra money to put their kids in private school to have them learn English. They're going to pay that, you know what I'm saying? There's certain privileges that they're going to get that make it much easier for them to communicate with you on a regular basis. Not saying you're not going to find that in other places, but what I'm saying is like, if you're talking about low-hanging fruit is definitely going to be well-to-do neighborhoods and just being in well-to-do areas because you'll find more English speakers there because they've already gone through that in school and that kind of stuff. Their parents paid for the tutors. They did that.
Okay. Yo, shout out to my boy Big E that just joined the chat. What's good? Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, James, you got a question? Guarded Scientist asked James, do you know of anyone who have got drugged and robbed? I'm hearing about this happening more and more, especially on Tinder.
That's mainly that happens a lot in Medellin and a little bit in Bogota. You know what I'm saying? If you're using Tinder in Medellin or if you're hanging out in Park Years, you know what I'm saying? Got to be very careful. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard that happening in Cali because, frankly, people don't come here like that. You get like a little bit more rain here. There's more black people here. It's more salsa here. That's very important to be able to, dance to salsa. It's no hip hop clubs and none of that stuff here. So, I mean, and the pro tip is like, if you don't know the language in any country, just go to a fly spot and speak English, and people who knows English will cut into you. They'll talk to you. People want to, speak to you in English if they learn in English, just like you should want to speak to them in their language to learn their language. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's been my experience. No matter where I've been, you start talking English, somebody's going to say, hey, they want to overhear you, and they're going to, and then you're going to meet somebody, man or woman.
Yeah. And one more question so definitely you guys be careful with the drugging going out there in Medellin and Bogota. I didn't hear about that Bogota. I love Bogota, man. Bogota's my spot. I know it has some parts, but Bogota's my spot. Like, lots of pretty women. I'm gonna tell y'all like this sad story I got. So I want to go back to Bogota just to go to this one restaurant where I seen this one chick working there, but I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't get the number, nothing. Because, as you know, James, I wasn't alone at that time. But now, I will definitely, next time I'm in Colombia, hopefully I'm in Barranquilla, or I don't know. I'm thinking about going to Medellin for the flower festival in August if I can make it. But definitely gonna be out there in Colombia for my birthday in November. I gotta go back to that spot on Calle 7 and and get this chick's number, man, because she was fine. So, Valentina, if you're watching this video, I'm coming for you. Muhammad Ali says, in Colombia, if a girl speaks English and offers to pay, she's usually looking for long-term relationships or marriage. I didn't notice. Is it the same in DR in Brazil as in the chicks who speak English don't come back? No, it is not the same as in DR. And if a chick speaks English and that English isn't followed up by, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a professional on this, or I work at that, or I go to school, throw up your red flag. Red flag automatically. If a chick speaks English with no profession, no school, throw up your red flag.
Yeah, I would say in Brazil, they definitely teach English in the schools, in all the schools. The thing is that depending on the teachers and depending on the neighborhood that you're in, you're gonna have a different experience. And also, it's almost like when we were learning Spanish in school in the U.S. It's like the teacher, like we never spoke Spanish anywhere. So like in Brazil, they learn English, but they don't have anybody to really practice with unless they live in a tourist area like Rio or and maybe Sao Paulo or something like that. So like if they don't use it, they're not going to remember it. But I met a lot of people who learn English through Netflix, movies, films, and that kind of stuff. I personally don't see it as a red flag if someone speaks English. I'm always curious about how they learned English. I'm always curious about how they learned it. You know what I mean? And if they can kind of explain that process, but I can
explain it. I can explain it because see, in these countries,
for
like
in general or for Colombia,
in general. Like in these countries, like in Jamaica and places like that, I mean, obviously they speak English, but it's like there's no jobs in these countries. So a lot of times, if you're not, you ain't got no education or whatever and stuff like that, they'll kind of like your family or something like that will say, well, won't you go try to get a job in the English speaking area and stuff like that, and maybe you can get hooked up. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is. I mean, if you go to any country and you go to the super touristy spot, and I mean like not rich area. Like you said, if you go to Leblon, that's a rich area. It's not. I mean, it is tourism, but it's not technically.
Right. Yeah.
So so if you go to a tourist trap, then you're gonna meet people who are basically scammers. I mean, I hate to say it like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
It's pimping in a way.
Yeah. The family sends them out there.
You know what's crazy, James? You said that, and it's so true for the DR where the family sends it. I know people call on YouTube and they hear in different parts like, yeah, the family does this, the brother brings them here, the dad does that, the mama asks how much you bring home. I had a situation where my last shorty's last ex-woman half sister, her mother pimped her out. Her mother would tell her, walk to the resort down in Puerto Plata and try to get a gringo. And if you don't get one, stay your ass there in the street. Definitely crazy with the pimping going on. And that's why I'm like, in some places, like Rude would say, okay, English in Brazil isn't a red flag because it's in school, it's implemented. Listen, I've been in more Ubers where I've heard more American music than Brazilian music because they, like it was talking to Rude about tonight, they love music. They're general music lovers, and subconsciously they're learning English like that. Like, man, I in the Uber tonight on the way to go link up with Rude, guy was listening to Guns N' Roses and Bon Jovi and Rod Stewart, and I'm bumping. I'm like, okay, I understand what's going on here.
Well, music is universal, but just to give you a short story about when I was in Jamaica, I was at my parents' crib, right? And we lived like up in the cut, like maybe 30 miles from Ocho Rios. Like Ocho Rios is right down the road from us, right? So they said on the radio, not one, not two, but 3 ships are going into Ocho Rios today. And when I went down to Ocho Rios, I was just going in to hang out. I saw like the people I knew from my town hanging out at the Burger King right there at Ocho Rios in the main place. Why were they at the Burger King? Because okay, you get off a cruise ship, where are you going to go? If you're, a tourist, you're going to go someplace where like, because you don't trust the food. So you're going to go to the Burger King, you're going to go to KFC. So that's why the girls was posted there. You know what I'm saying? So it was what it was.
One thing I want to, I really appreciate that story. One thing I also want to mention is like, there are economic opportunities. This is something that we get as Americans because we just, naturally speak the language. But for the rest of the world, speaking English is an economic opportunity. I know a girl who was fully qualified to do a particular job, but because she couldn't speak English, she was basically telling me like, yo, can you teach me English because I want to get this job, right? And so she was applying to different outside of
yeah. All right, this is a funny comment right here.
Oh wow. Okay. But yeah, so like so for example, she wanted to work at this there's a gym here in Rio that's literally on the beach. They do like CrossFit classes on the beach. It's called the Baby Brasa Sport or something like that, right? And she was applying to work there, and they told her, they were like, hey, the only way that we can really hire you is if you can speak English, because we're starting to get more gringos that are taking classes here. We want somebody that can speak English. And after that, you know what I mean? For her, she's like, oh, I got to learn English now and that kind of thing. So like just knowing English in general, outside of, working on your back, there are other economic opportunities that are literally there. And then if you go, like, for example, if you're trying to apply at a hotel and you can speak English, you're going to have an advantage over somebody that has 3 or 4 years experience. If you work at a restaurant that's here in Ipanema and you can speak English, you're going to have an advantage just off that strength alone, because they know as soon as the gringo comes in, hey, that's the person, that's the go-to person to be able to communicate with them. Even when I was in Barra da Tijuca, I was at a notary office. They had a special person that was there that was the English girl, you know what I mean? The English guy, the person that could actually communicate in English fully to be able to handle that business when it comes in, because, for them, that presents an additional economic opportunity. Because if I'm a tourist, where am I going to go? I'm going to go where the places where people can understand me. So that's just
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because like I say, again, I was in Tanzania, and they don't like Kenyans because in Kenya, like English is like you got to learn it. You have to learn English with Swahili, so they speak Swahili. In Tanzania, English is optional. So like they're going to hire that. If you get a job in Tanzania, they're going to hire an English speaker over somebody who just speaks Swahili. So they kind of discriminate against. Cause I had a girlfriend who was Kenyan, and we lived in Tanzania. Yeah. And again, the average Tanzanian does not speak English because they don't really have to. But if you work in like some business in Dar where you're like front facing, where you're working with the public or something like that, then you got to know English. And if you don't know it, you ain't working. You're not, what I'm saying? All these call center jobs all over the world, you got to be able to speak English. Like I said, I got a girlfriend. She works for DoorDash in America. You know what I'm saying? And they asked her, the drivers, call her and say, yeah, what's the address? So she got to look up the address and stuff like that. Because I was telling her about like, military bases and stuff. She said, yeah, I get a lot of calls when they got to go on a military base to how to get there. And I'm like, yeah. So she knows about that because she had to deal with the calls. And the only reason she's been able to get that job because she learned, English in the university. So it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm about to have one more subscriber, Yoga, come in here. We're about to close this joint out. But after I have him in here, I want to ask you guys. Last question I have for the night is, what are your experiences like with the culture? So think about that for a second. But Yoga, what's good? Yoga, what it do? You're on the air. All right, Yoga, when you get back, let me know.
But I was already thinking about the culture piece. I personally think it's very important to learn the history and the culture of places, because it's a reason why people do things why they do things. And a lot of times when they say, well, because, I hear Taylor and stuff say Dominicans are nationalistic. I think it's mainly a culture thing, because think about it like this. we could probably date white women or people who are not black, but we have a different culture. Like if we go to church, our church is different. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Our food is different and stuff like that. So it's a lot of cultural hoops you got to jump over. So, I mean, but it's a reason why people do things the way they are. You know what I'm saying? And if you understand it, you know what I'm saying, you could have a more connection with people. So you need to always try to learn from somebody. You know, learn their culture, learn why it is they do something, and not just think it's because it's crazy. But I'm gonna let my man Yoga talk if he.
Yoga was good. Was good. Yoga, you hear us? Yoga.
No sound.
We can't hear you. All right, leave it. Come back in. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah. So Rule, what you got?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, the one thing that's really cool about Brazil is there's a really, 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 really rich history here, and there's a lot of museums. There's a lot of films. In fact, one of a series that I watched on Prime Video was about the history of Brazil when Brazil was an empire, like when they had an empire.
I heard about that
and stuff. And that show was really good. It's in Portuguese with English subtitles and that kind of stuff. But it really shows, you know, it helps you understand what was going on in Europe back then while the American Revolution was happening, while the Haitian, you know, my family's from Haiti. I was born in Haiti. While the Haitian Revolution was happening and all that other stuff, it kind of shows you like what was happening in Brazil at that time and what were they dealing with and all this other stuff. And so that was really cool. When I was in Sao Paulo, and this is another thing I appreciate about Sao Paulo, there's so many museums. There's an African museum in Sao Paulo that shows the history of Africans all the way to present day. You know what I mean? And then there's an immigration museum in Sao Paulo that talks about all the different cultures and all the different people and when they first started coming here, and what they've contributed over time and that kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of other museums. There's just a lot of really cool cultural locations here where you can kind of learn about the history and see how dynamic it is and all that other stuff. So I think it's really cool, especially because, you know, from a dating point of view, right? Knowing the history of the country and that kind of thing, when you tell people like, hey, I know this about your country, I know that about your country, it's an opportunity for conversation because they may know more. You know what I mean? They're gonna know more and be like, oh, well, did you know about this, or did you check out this spot? But then also from like a touristic standpoint, you know what I mean? When you know the stories of different places of when people first discovered this particular location or that, or the food, or why the particular cuisine is that way, and why this music exists the way that it does, and where it came from, and all of its origins and that kind of stuff. It just makes you appreciate it more because it's definitely going to be different. I would say there's like 10 or 12 different genres of Brazilian specific music here. You know what I mean? Like people will know funk, maybe they'll know pagode and samba, but there's like other different types of music, like their country music is called sertanejo. There's another type of music called forró. And then there's the different African types of music that, you know, that kind of originate from the African sounds and that kind of stuff. And then they also have their own trap. They have their own implementation of everything. Yeah. It's dope. So it's really, really cool that you know there's so much that you can dive into. It's almost like an ocean here. You know what I mean? Like it gets as deep as you're able to go as far as like, you know, what you can discover in this country and how much information there is. And that's another reason to learn Portuguese too, because like I stopped by a bookstore and I could read the titles of the books and see what they were saying. But obviously they were like maybe university level or high school level books where I'm not there yet. You know what I'm saying? But like there are certain books that are printed in Portuguese that you're not going to find in English because it just doesn't exist yet. So there's a whole nother world of like, you know, culture and opportunities that you can kind of discover just by learning a new language. And I'm sure it's the same thing in Colombia. Colombia has an amazing history. Everything with Simon Bolivar and all that other stuff that was going on. The African history, how big the population is, and all that. So there's I think it's really important to really dive into the culture, and I also think it makes your experience being in a country like this, being in a country like Colombia, being in a country like Dominican Republic, knowing that history, knowing where they came from, knowing what they're about, knowing their culture and their values. You know what I mean, and all that stuff. It really makes you appreciate how amazing human beings as a whole are, because you know what I mean. Every country, if you think about it, every country, every culture is basically the same software, but a different implementation. It's like, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna tweak it like this, you know what I mean? And it just shows how, you know what I mean, there's so many different approaches to life that that can exist and coexist in the world, and it opens our eyes to different ways of doing things.
Let me ask you a question, Rude. Have you got clicked in with any Haitians in Brazil?
That's a great question. So there are Haitians in Sao Paulo. When I was living there, I did connect with some, but I did some research before I came back to Brazil earlier this year. Haitians have not started immigrating into out of all the cultures out there. Haitians didn't really start immigrating into Sao Paulo until like 2009, 2010.
Yes, I heard about that. And
yeah.
They was getting like some, because of COVID, they started to go north, and that's when that stuff was going on there. So I heard about that.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating about that is like one of the reasons why I have so much love for Brazil is because I'm Haitian. Like outside of the Haitian national team, Argentina and Brazil are the two biggest clans in terms of like, if you're a Haitian person, you either love Argentina as a soccer team or you love Brazil, and they're like obsessed. Really? Yeah, if you ever get bored, go online and look up Brazilian soccer team visits Haiti. You'll see grown ass men crying seeing these players live in person. In Haiti, we do Carnival. And then you'll see, like in villages, they do a Haitian carnival where they do the little samba and all that other stuff. So Brazilian culture has a huge influence on Haiti, from the music, from a lot of things. But at the same time, Haitians are just now immigrating. There's a lot of Haitians in Sao Paulo. There's Haitians in Brasilia. There are Haitian embassies over there. So it's kind of just now starting to begin where more Haitians are starting to migrate down here. And I actually think that if someone is Haitian and they want to immigrate to a country, one, I think it's going to be easier to immigrate to Brazil. And then two, I think that they have a better chance at a come up here in Brazil than they would elsewhere. Because when I was in Barra da Tijuca, I met a bunch of Nigerians and they was prospering. You know what I mean? Like, they're prospering, they're doing their thing, because it's like once you figure out the Brazilian system, it's a lot more bureaucracy than the US, but it's about as much bureaucracy as Europe. But once you figure out the system, you know what I'm saying, and how things work and how to get things done, how to start businesses, how to, apply for different types of licenses and that kind of stuff, nobody really gets in your way, So it's there's definitely an opportunity, there immigration wise, but there's definitely some Haitians down here, just not as many as you think.
I'll just tell you one other thing. In Cali, when I was hanging out with my boy and stuff like that, they thought we were Haitian, not American. That's how few Americans they get around here. So they see black people, they think Haitian, not American. That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of there's a big connection between Haiti and Colombia and Haiti and Venezuela. Like Venezuela's been giving Haiti oil for the longest time, and so in Haiti, they didn't have, especially economically, they didn't really have the ability to purchase the oil that they needed, and Hugo Chavez created this system where he was basically giving it to them for the low, and then direct, you know what I mean? So it was like they didn't have to go to the regular markets, to purchase oil at $100 a barrel when, during the Iraq War and all that other stuff. So that really helped a lot. So there's a big connection. And then, going back to the Haitian Revolution, when Simon Bolivar got kind of thrown out of South America and that kind of stuff, he actually went to Haiti. Yeah, and so then at that time, the Haitian president gave him a bunch of soldiers to go back and reassert his power back in South America. And then he went on and continued to, complete his revolution in terms of removing Spain as the colonial power
in South America, but it was the Haitians that put him back on his feet and all that other stuff. So there's a love. There's actually a reason why you see the red and blue on a lot of the flags out there. Like if you look at Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, and that kind of stuff, that red and blue is almost an homage to the Haitians and the Haitian Revolution.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's
they had a statue here, and it's like they're giving props to Haiti because he gave help to Bolivar on the condition that he freed the slaves of Colombia.
Yep. Yeah.
And I found that out from Ace Live, so shout out to Ace
Live. Wow. Yeah. Shout out Ace Live, man. He's been doing his thing for a long time. Much respect to him. You know what I mean? I love his channel.
But fellas, you told me something about Haiti. I didn't know because I'm Haitian also. So
what?
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man.
What's up, passe?
Man, we're gonna buy you, man.
Yo, no wonder why we clicked.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this guy looks like my cousin. Let me talk to him. That's amazing.
Wow, that's all right. You got island boys up in here.
Yes, sir. So, James, when you we're about to close out, but when you coming down to Brazil?
I'm coming down to Brazil no later than November. So, like I said, I want to check out the carnival, but I want to get down there before all that happens. Because I want to save money. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, again, I'm going to the DR, hang out with some people I know out there and stuff like that, say hi, and I'm going to be there at least, and I got to take somebody, I got to hold his hand, because he like, I ain't never been out the country, and I'm like, coming to Colombia now. He's like, oh. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take you to the Tutorial Island. Dominican Republic. You go there, you start chilling there and stuff like that, and then, when you get your legs straight, you come to Colombia, Brazil. So right after that, so either I'm gonna be there a month or a couple months, but no later than November, I'm gonna be down there in Brazil. So if you're here in August, I might still be in here in August. I fly up to Medellin if you're going to Medellin. So there's that.
That's tricky because I was just thinking to myself, like, yo, where am I gonna spend Christmas this year? I want to spend Christmas somewhere where, it's kind of like the DR vibe, like 24, Buena Noche, Christmas Eve, but also I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to eat good. I'm trying to have something in my cup. I'm trying to palm something with my hand, dance a little, enjoy the night. I don't know if that's going to be in Colombia.
Well, they do have Fera de Cali here, so it's sort of like the Puerto Rican Day on steroids. It's mainly a salsa like parade type thing, and that happens around Christmas time. So just throwing it out there, you might want to come down here. The weather be good.
I need to find me a little booth thing that'll bring me to the crib on Christmas Eve, like a present. So
if you come down like in like November-ish or something like that, then you get cool enough to do that, because that's the difference between Dominican Republic and here is that, okay, they're not entitled, but it's not like they don't think money, so it's not like you want to just go to their house on the top. So
that's cool. And like I said, I'm gonna be in Colombia for my birthday. I was just trying to figure out, like, all right, after my birthday, do I stay till New Year's in Colombia, or do I just come back to Brazil, see how they do things in Brazil? I'm gonna talk to Rude offline, see like, yo, how they do things in Brazil.
I need to get your information, Rude, because I need to holler at you about, because I heard about you got to have some kind of number to get almost anything. Yeah. So I'm gonna need to connect.
Yeah, and I got the contacts. I'll connect you with them. You'll be able to get one in like 2-3 weeks. Usually it takes a few months to get that process if you go through like traditional bureaucracy. But I know all the right people that like you can get that done.
Is it 2-3 weeks? Because this is what happened. I went last week to get it. The lady was like, "Oh, I should get it by Tuesday," and it's past Tuesday, and I still haven't gotten it. So I don't know if it's like, can they read my email? Is there something wrong? Like,
it really depends.
I went to the federal building in San Drive.
Yeah, I went through a firm. I'll send you their name, but they basically handled the whole process for me. You do kind of have to, and this is another reason why I like Sao Paulo, but you can do it here in Rio too. But like, you got to go to different offices, get a few papers signed, stamped. Then you got to go back to another office, sign another paper. But then once you get that done and you send it back to the office, they take care of the rest. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you another question. Is there, like, I heard you can get like a year and maybe even extended past a year for a language visa. Like if you go to school?
That I don't know about, but I know about the digital nomad visa.
Nomad.
Yeah, so if you can demonstrate $1,500 a month or more in regular income, or if you have at least 18,500 sitting in a bank account somewhere, you're basically automatically granted. Well, you have to apply for it and go through the process, FBI background check, et cetera, et cetera. But then after that, you get a 1-year digital nomad visa, and then you can automatically apply for extension after that. And then that's basically it. Right now I'm on a tourist visa, but my plan is to basically, if I'm going to be on the tourist visa, I can be here for up to 6 months, no problem. Then I just have to go to the equivalent to an FBI office, demonstrate I didn't do no trouble, and then they extend that for another 6 months. After they do that, then when I return to the U.S., then I'm going to apply for the digital nomad visa, because then that'll give me 2 more years on top of the tourist visa. And then once that expires, I can leave, come back, do another year, and then reapply again for the digital nomad visa.
Now that's when I would probably start thinking about getting an underfurnished apartment when I get like a long-term visa. So actually, I'm gonna look into that when I go back to America in September-ish. So I'm gonna go back to there. I'm gonna holler at them and see if I can't get it. I'm not gonna stay in America too long, but I'm gonna see if I can just get it. If I can't get it, then I'll worry about it like after I come back from Brazil and then get it straight like you did.
Yeah,
and then there's a lot of really cool things. Like I have some contacts down here that's been putting me onto the property auctions where you can buy properties for up to 50 to 90% off all over the country and that kind of thing. So you can rent, but depending on what your long-term goals are and that kind of stuff, maybe purchasing could be the right move as well. That's certainly something that I'm definitely looking at as well.
Okay, I definitely want to holler at you, man. So,
all right, so I'm gonna pass you guys each other's number because there's definitely a topic that could go on for another hour. Rude, I definitely need hit me up offline about the CPF thing because it's if I shouldn't have expected it Tuesday, let me know. But I went last week. She was like, "I should be here Tuesday late and get it." So I was actually thinking about going to the federal building, back to federal building. That's why I went in the central in Central. Yeah. Be like, hey, what's going on? But if I should wait a little bit longer, I'm cool waiting.
Yeah, if anything, they're supposed to send you an email, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't gotten the email yet, it's probably not ready. I would add on anytime they say, hey, something's gonna be done on this day. I would add on 5 more days.
Okay. All right. Dominican time. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. The only place that I've ever had where things got done when they said they were getting done was when I needed to get documents translated. But I think it's mostly because of the service that I chose, not necessarily because that's the norm. Because she'll translate something and say it'll be ready in 2 days, and it literally is ready in 2 days. So,
okay. All right, yeah. So I know definitely when I'm going back to the States, whether that be July or October, because I have a very special lady that I have to go see in the Matrix. I'm definitely going to do that background check because it's I know it lasts for 60 days. So I'm get the background check, come back, find a nice, reliable firm because I don't want to leave the crib. I don't want to leave the crib for nothing. Go to this way. So I'm like, yo, here's my passport. Here's the FBI stuff. Just take it. Leave me alone. Hit me up when the joint done. So that's what we're gonna do. But fellas, I appreciate y'all. Stay behind scenes after the show.
Great to meet you, James.
Yeah, good to meet you too, Ruben.
Yeah. Hold on. Y'all stay as I at the show. But everybody that watched the live, I appreciate you guys. Love you as always. Make sure you guys like the video. Turn on the notification for the next lives. Chapapa will be back in the Dominican Republic in June. Till then, y'all better enjoy the hell out of Brazil. Y'all better enjoy this with me because y'all gonna be seeing Brazil until it's time for me to go to Venezuela or Uruguay or Argentina or Bolivia, wherever they speak Spanish, wherever I can have my my empanada in this hand and I'm palming something with this hand and my drink right in front of me and I'm on a beach or I got a mountain view. Y'all already know on Chapter TV we love the mountain views. But shout out to Rude for popping in tonight. Shout out to James representing Cali, Colombia. You guys will definitely see more of them. Any questions you have, definitely reach out on the email. Drop some comments down in the videos. These brothers will respond. Until then, the next episode.